with me in my home.
She lives with you now? Whoa!
Temporarily.
Because by God's law,
It don't have nothing to do with that.
my son loved her and that baby. And if there was anything in this world that I could do,
I wrapped
He
her.
said, thank you. Now do you believe me? I was being...
Why don't I know about you? I've never seen you in my house.
Prepare yourself for an intense journey as this situation unfolds with significant doubts surrounding one particular individual. A mother is determined to vindicate her son, and the forthcoming revelations will leave you astonished.
Ms. Beversdorf, you have opened your case against Mrs. James to prove that her deceased son, Daryl, is the biological father of your 4-year-old son, Dakari. You say that once you prove paternity, Mrs. James better accept you both, or she will never see Dakari.
This segment carries substantial weight as Miss Beversdorf expresses the pain of rejection, indicating that it affects both her and her son. Following this, Mrs. James presents her perspective, which can only be described as intense.
It's the whole denial thing that's affecting my child and me. They don't accept him, they don't accept me. I'm just ready for him to have acceptance, love. I want it to be real, not fake. And I just know once I get these test results, and everybody will really know the truth. I want him to know and to really have that is his father.
Tension escalates as Mrs. James raises serious suspicions without reservation. Miss Beversdorf firmly asserts her fidelity, yet Mrs. James remains unconvinced, and her next allegation is one you will not want to miss.
You say the doubts were brought because of Ms. Beversdorf?
because of the relationship that they beheld in the time that he was with her, they always fighting, her seeing other people in between the breakup.
Nobody has proof of that, though. I've never been seen with anybody else.
But when you were
Haven't
living in
been
the house with us,
anything.
you're gone.
Just when it seems the situation cannot become more complicated, Mrs. James introduces another shocking claim. However, Miss Beversdorf stands firm, confidently asserting her knowledge of the father's identity. You might think this would suffice. There are further developments on the horizon.
And I'm like, where's Kayla?
No, I was gone 2 weeks.
Where?
My
With someone
sister,
else?
at my sister's house.
And when my
Wasn't with
son came
anybody
to
else.
your house, she came outside to talk to him, but she wouldn't let him in the house, and she made him leave. That was my...
Do you remember that incident, Ms.
No.
Beversdorf?
I know who my baby dad is.
How long were you together, you and Mr. Stevenson?
4.5
The
years.
atmosphere becomes increasingly uncomfortable as Mrs. James remains skeptical, introducing a more provocative
She
argument.
came back to your honor, and now they're telling me that she was pregnant. And you want me to say, well, okay?
I was already pregnant when me and him split up for the 2 weeks.
But I mean, respectfully, how does Ms. James know that?
You and him then had a fight. She leaves for a couple of weeks, come back. Next thing I know, her and my son sitting in my kitchen telling me she's pregnant. And I'm looking like, by who?
The drama intensifies when the judge inquires why Daryl did not sign the birth certificate, heightening the tension as Mrs. James prepares to escalate her accusation.
He
does
signed the
that?
birth certificate?
No.
When the nurse came into the hospital room, he was at home, taking a shower, getting clothes. He only left the hospital for maybe 2.5 hours.
For the 2.5 hours he left was the one time came in with the birth certificate for him to execute.
Mrs. James continues her onslaught, now alleging that Miss Beversdorf has evaded DNA testing. She recounts her attempts to secure a test following Daryl's birth, insisting that she made every effort, resulting in a contentious exchange of accusations.
Now, I have tried to get DNA 3 times.
She never tried 3 times.
Yes,
would've
I have,
taken
Your Honor.
DNA, get no DNA
Because she
test.
never shows up.
She never
What
took me
happened?
nowhere. I had that as
I
an
didn't have to meet
option.
you nowhere.
She
I
never
told you
called,
where the
she never
place
said
was.
anything.
Ms. James, take me through each time.
As the situation grows even more chaotic, Mrs. James recalls a second attempt at a DNA test that ended in turmoil. Miss Beversdorf interjects, claiming ignorance of this plan, while Mrs. James remains unyielding, setting the stage for further allegations to come.
Tell me about the second time you requested a DNA test.
She never requested it a
Yes, I
second
did.
time.
On a Monday, over the weekend or whatever, this particular second time, I asked her, hey, let's go to legal aid, help us, somebody, to get us DNA so we can get the Social Security started. We're supposed to do the test like Tuesday or Wednesday. I didn't see her till Friday.
Miss Beversdorf is becoming increasingly agitated, asserting her firm belief that Daryl is Dayar's father. She expresses her frustration with Mrs. James for questioning this assertion. Just as the conversation seems to be stagnating, an astonishing revelation emerges.
So you have no doubt in your mind
No,
Mr.
I wouldn't be
Stevens
here
is
if I did.
Dakari's biological father.
Well, I do.
Not one doubt. Well,
I
that's
do.
why we're here, because she does.
We surely are.
We didn't get to the third time.
And
When
it's
does
the
this
same.
year,
Why
Your
didn't
Honor,
she get
I
in
asked
contact
her-
with you? Why didn't she write you? Why was it all me? So determined to get a DNA test.
test. Ask her when did we go to the Social Security.
Prepare yourself as Mrs. James unveils a shocking truth. Miss Beversdorf and Durari are currently residing with her. However, the situation is about to become even more intricate as Mrs. James elaborates on her reasons for seeking the DNA results.
She lives with me in my home.
She lives with you now? Whoa!
Temporarily.
Because by God's law,
It don't have nothing to do with that.
my son loved her and that baby. And if there was anything in this world that I could do.
Now, the moment has arrived for the transformative answer that everyone has been eagerly anticipating.
The percentage of relatedness between Mrs. Jacqueline James and Dakari is 99%. You are related.
Prepare yourself as the intensity escalates rapidly from the outset. Within the first minute, both parties appear poised for confrontation, and the situation is just beginning to unfold.
Miss Cameron, you tragically lost the love of your life 3 years ago and find yourself standing before me fighting to prove that he is your child's biological father. Furthermore, you claim you desperately need to determine paternity so that you can file for the death benefits to support your family.
Turning to the family dynamics, Miss Melvin expresses how her entire family is deeply unsettled and distressed by Miss Cameron's actions. With emotions running high, it is evident that this familial conflict is poised to intensify.
Speaking for myself as well as my family, disturbed us all. My mom would have liked to be here today as well, but very distraught. She just couldn't face it to come. Just the whole situation of losing my brother as well. We lost him, and just the whole situation of her getting pregnant, it just doesn't add up.
You don't think this child is his?
I don't think it's his.
We are now entering the realm of scandal, marked by a significant revelation that amplifies the tension. The atmosphere is charged, particularly as Miss Cameron strives to maintain her composure amidst the growing skepticism from Miss Melvin.
During this time, your brother's in a relationship with Miss Cameron. You know about her, right?
Correct.
And so you still feel like she's trying to get something that isn't entitled to her?
Well, there's a couple things. He had came to me, it was a month, and I work an urgent care and I see a lot of stuff, so he told me. I said, are you sure he was like, man, I haven't done anything.
This segment is among the most poignant and intense thus far, as the courtroom collectively bears the burden of her grief. However, the pressing question of paternity lingers, leaving everyone in suspense.
Miss Cameron, you said he passed away when you were 12 weeks pregnant.
Yes, and we did not know the sex of
Had
the child.
you told anyone?
Yes, I told my best friend April, I told my mother, and I told my father. I don't know who he told, but I know that's the 3 people I told. Said wait for a couple days to make sure because it was a home pregnancy test that we took.
Just when the situation seems to reach a peak of complexity, we encounter discrepancies in the timeline with dates that fail to align. Miss Cameron faces additional hurdles as they attempt to unravel the truth of past events.
So she's pregnant. I was taking her to her appointments,
You was my
and
work
I brought calendar to show you some things from when we went to the appointment on June 28th. So from June 28th, with her due date of her supposed to be getting pregnant, this would have been when she got pregnant, and my brother was not even around because me going to an appointment with her and
You
getting
went to the
due
doctor
date.
with her on June 28th.
Yes,
And the doctor said she's 6 months pregnant.
yes.
The narrative takes an unexpected turn with a moment that suggests a connection from beyond. While this heartfelt incident is surprising, Miss Melvin remains unimpressed, clearly prepared to confront the situation with continued skepticism.
I have an ultrasound picture right here. I know this might sound crazy, but I posted it on Facebook. Okay, this is his face, like we're looking at each other. If you look in the eye, that is Jackie. Look at that bald-headed, and look at the bald-headed in the eyeball. And actually, there's another face right here that looks how fat Jackie's face was.
Another shocking development arises as Miss Melvin presents a signed note from her mother, asserting that she witnessed Miss Cameron entering a vehicle with another man prior to her pregnancy. With family members voicing additional allegations, the paternity enigma becomes increasingly complicated.
There was a time which I have a signed statement from my mom, because they live next door to each other, like creeping around the corner
Creeping.
to get to a car, which was with another man.
I was in love with Jackie. I would have never cheated on Jackie.
And it says, I am testifying that I do not believe Malachi Rathard is my grandson because I know Miss Cameron cheated on my son shortly before.
As the plot thickens, Miss Cameron's closest friend takes the stand to support her. Yet Miss Melvin remains skeptical, leaving the entire courtroom in suspense as they await the DNA results.
that Miss Cameron was cheating with this other guy.
No, Miss Melvin, she was not cheating. This is my best friend. It's been my best friend for 16 years. Date did occur. She came to me and she told me because she felt so guilty about it. Hung out, talked, went to the movies.
But how do you really know she didn't have sex?
I can only go off what my best friend has told me, and she's never, that to my knowledge, has lied to me before.
The moment of truth is upon them, and all eyes are fixed in anticipation.
It has been determined by this court. Miss Duhamel is related to Malachi
Thank you,
Rathard.
Jesus. Thank you. Now do you believe me? I was being honest with you.
This situation is already quite extraordinary. Miss Chmielinsky reveals that she had a 5-year relationship with Georgie, who unfortunately passed away in a motorcycle accident, leaving their son, Xavier, behind. Prepare for this family drama to escalate further.
Ms. Chmielinsky, you say you had a loving 5-year relationship with the defendant's son, Georgie, who unfortunately died in a motorcycle accident. You claim the defendants initially accepted your son, Xavier, but now need proof that they are Xavier's grandparents.
Indeed, this narrative continues to grow more intense. When Judge Lake inquires about her relationship with the defendants, Miss Chmielinsky mentions that her son needs family, as he already refers to Georgie's mother as Nana. The atmosphere in the room is becoming increasingly charged, and the tension is palpable.
My son needs his family. He calls her Nana, and she's been in his life. We need answers. He has nobody.
Okay, let's keep it real, please.
Take me to the day you found out Georgie passed.
I was devastated, heartbroken, confused.
But why? I just making me understand.
This segment is particularly surprising. Mr. Long openly expresses his disbelief regarding the alleged 5-year relationship, asserting that he has never seen her at their residence. This story is undoubtedly becoming more convoluted and perplexing.
5-year relationship?
Why don't I know about you?
Never heard of her.
I've never seen you in my house.
Did you ever ask
what a
Georgie
girlfriend.
why you haven't introduced me to your parents?
No, because we were just friends. It was like a sexual friendship that we had for.
So
I
how
don't
did
think
you
for
find
5
out
years.
he
was he
passed
having a
away?
girlfriend? I know his
Yeah,
girlfriend.
no matter who we were with, we still had sexual.
If you think this situation cannot become more outrageous, reconsider. Mrs. Brown states that 2 years later, a friend suggested that Xavier might be Georgie's child, prompting her to investigate further. The audience is clearly anxious, eager to discover the next development in this unfolding saga.
What had happened was she says that this baby's Georgie's. 2 years passed. The only reason why I pursued this is because a friend of Georgie's told him, you need to find out if this baby is Georgie. So it's other people in the neighborhood must be saying something because he came to me after 2 years. He brought this to my...
At this juncture, it resembles a tumultuous exchange of emotions. Judge Lake questions why they delayed the DNA test, to which Miss Chmielinsky responds that she and Georgie attempted a home DNA test but were unable to afford it before his untimely death. The stakes are escalating as everyone recognizes the potential for significant complications.
Because you feel like they don't
Because you
know?
want it to be George. She wants it to be Georgie.
He and Georgie was doing a home DNA test a couple months before he had passed, and we couldn't come up with the money. After, I think it was like 5 months,
But, yeah.
then he had passed away. So then
You should've
that's
came
when I
to
went
me.
to the.
How old was Xavier when Georgie died?
He was 2 weeks before he turned.
In a surprising turn of events, just when it seemed the situation could not become more intricate, Miss Chmielinsky reveals that there is another possible father, a man who tragically passed away while she was pregnant. The courtroom is in disbelief at this revelation, and all eyes are on the proceedings, eager to see what will unfold next.
Can't be.
So there's one other man
How
besides
are you
Georgie.
telling-
No.
Did you ever tell the other guy?
He had passed away when I was 5 months pregnant.
Oh.
He had got murdered. A family member of mine had contacted his family. They did not respond. Xavier turned 2, and they said if I come up with the money,
me, then those...
The situation is intensifying, and significant drama is unfolding. Ms. Chmielewski informs Xavier that Georgie is his father, presenting him with videos and referring to Georgie as Daddy. This development is profound, and there is widespread curiosity regarding the outcome of the DNA test.
Miss Chmielewski, when you talk to Xavier about his father, he's 2 now. Do you talk to him about his father? Who do you tell him his father is?
I tell him Georgie's. That he watches his videos, and I say, you know, that's Daddy.
He calls him Daddy.
Because either way, Georgie told me no matter what the results were when he was alive, that he was going to be in.
In a surprising turn, Mrs. Brown introduces a peculiar ghost video that Miss Chmielewski had previously shown her, which allegedly features the spirit of Georgie. The atmosphere is charged with speculation as attendees ponder whether she is attempting to establish paternity through a ghostly apparition.
Okay.
What about the video?
The spirit video. What
The video you showed me.
So now tell me about this
the baby.
video you mentioned.
This video is when me and my friends were sitting in the car.
She's trying to convince that there's a video with a spirit of Georgie in the video.
Oh,
Because I feel like he is
is this
brown.
the video?
Like, I feel...
Hold on.
Now it is time for Judge Lake to take center stage, fully aware that everyone is on tenterhooks. She emphasizes the importance of this test for Xavier's future.
You understand, Miss Chmielewski, even if out of the kindness of her heart, even out of her grief, she says, just have the baby call me Nana. And the real
I
truth
understand
is
that.
you don't know for certain. I have the results, and we can all find out for certain right now.
What follows is a revelation that leaves all present in utter disbelief.
The percentage of relatedness between Ms. Brown and Mr. Long and Xavier Chmielewski is 0%.
You should also watch more of our videos so that you too do not repeat the mistakes that they made. Thanks for watching.
It's gonna make you believe whatever. So I talked to the woman and I believe her. And I gave him a chance to tell his story.
She had sex with
I gave him that's right. I did sleep with somebody, but I did it the right way. I left you first. I was single.
Those are the worst 2 years of my life. So to know Georgie has a child, why wouldn't I try to find out? And how come it took so long? So if I wasn't here today, that baby could be a teenager and not know whose dad is if I didn't step in.
Mr. Wilson claims that Ms. Butler was intimate with several men around each pregnancy she had for him, and he believes that her 2 youngest kids do not belong to him. Ms. Butler is angry that Mr. Wilson would even suggest something like that. Here is how that story starts out.
You claim Ms. Butler had sexual encounters with other men around each pregnancy, and you are certain you did not father either child. Is that correct?
Correct.
And that is exactly how paternity doubts begin. When people believe that their partners are cheating on them, that creates real paternity doubt. And that doubt in turn becomes something really serious, like it has become here, and it gets worse.
Significant age difference between you, Mr. Wilson, and Ms. Butler. You are 48, she is 25.
Yes.
Are you sure this is not a situation where you may feel like Ms. Butler is out there doing her thing when really she's not because of this age difference?
No.
You may disagree with Mr. Wilson, but he is generally correct. Age indeed do not make you well, you know the rest. So let us go back and understand exactly what is happening here. Why does Mr. Wilson think the first kid isn't his?
Taking some lunch, and I seen her get out of another guy's car. And I got a cell phone, and I seen that she'd been in a whole nother relationship with this other guy, a light-skinned guy by her skin color.
It wasn't a relationship.
And what?
Okay, wait. So I want to understand this.
Wow, that is a bit much. So Ms. Butler can't deny that she was in this relationship with this other guy when Zoriaya was conceived. That is the makings of a perfectly valid paternity doubt, right? And of course it gets worse.
Didn't want us to be together because of age difference.
Okay.
You know, I understand that. You know, she sending naked pictures of other guys. The same picture she sent me.
So you went through her phone and you saw the same picture she'd send you.
Yes,
the
the other
sexy
guy.
picture, she sent them to somebody else.
Yeah.
You can see that she tried to lie, but just couldn't go through with it. And that is probably because even that lie would never be believable. She was quadruple dipping all right, and it is about to get worse.
Calling the other guy daddy, I miss you, and I want to eat your candy cane. And I remember everything.
He going to, no, I don't know.
Yes, I remember everything, ma'am.
Oh, a candy cane.
Candy cane.
Okay, now we are getting somewhere. She admits she was cheating, and she says she did try to sleep with the dude. But what does that even mean? How can you try to sleep with someone? You either did or you didn't. There is no try. But Ms. Butler has her own way of defining these things, as you will soon find out.
I mean, we try to use the little condom, but we stopped and it didn't happen. Like, he never or anything.
So I always, in my back of my mind, I knew the baby wasn't mine. But I thought it was so many different men.
And so what do you say? Do you remember that day, Miss Butler?
Yes, I said the baby is definitely his.
Yeah, that is kind of hard to believe, Ms. Butler. That is very hard to believe. You were not messing with anyone? Haha, fat chance. If she really knew he was the father, she would let him know about her delivery date, right? Well, let's see if she did.
Wait a minute, you went to the hospital, you were in a relationship, and you went to the hospital and had the baby without even letting them know?
Didn't let me know. The other guy must have been there.
Like I said, I didn't have my phone.
You didn't have your phone. There was no one there with you with a phone?
Ms. Butler has no legs to stand on here. What is she even doing? How does this make any sense? You'd think that would be the last of it, but you would be wrong. Judge Lake tries to do one last check to confirm from Ms. Butler, but she is sure that the baby belongs to Mr. Wilson.
Mr. Wilson is not Zariah's biological father. Do you know who is?
No, but the kids is his though. I'm not thinking that.
You wouldn't have
the kids is his, so there's no other possible father.
Well, there we have it. Ms. Butler is more than certain she isn't lying and that the kids actually belong to Mr. Wilson. The only way to figure out if she's lying or not is to check out the results for ourselves.
Mr. Wilson, you are not the father.
Told you.
Are not?
Yeah, she said it. I'm not the daddy.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
That's not crazy.
Zariah?
Yeah, she's not my baby.
Mr. Haggerty believes that he is the father of his 29-year-old daughter, Ms. Wandick. His daughter, on the other hand, believes that he isn't her father. Mr. Haggerty thinks she only believes this because of lies from her mother, and he is here to set the record straight. Let's begin.
Wandick, you say you are stuck between your parents, and after believing the plaintiff was your father, you now are confused by your mother's new claims. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Ms. Davis, you admit to lying to Mr. Haggerty and your daughter, but say today you are ready to tell the truth and prove that he is not her father.
Yes, ma'am.
29 years of living a lie. Try to take that in. No, you cannot. It doesn't even make any sense. Why would she lie for 29 years about something like this? Why? Let's see what she has to say.
He's not. He was just a playmate, Your Honor. I mean, but I know who the biological father is.
Excuse me, Your Honor. She's saying that he was just a playmate, but how is that fair to this man and to me for her to be saying that he's just a playmate when from jump you led this man to believe that he was my father?
Ms. Wandick is completely correct here. And what is so annoying is the glee that Ms. Davis is reporting this with. Why is she so happy? She isn't even showing any sign of remorse. This man has lived a lie for 29 years and you are calling him just a playmate? Really? Here is what Ms. Davis's sister has to say about this.
Called me. She said me and Craig just got through doing, and she said I'm pregnant. And she told me and our family that Craig was Marzella's father.
And this other man had a relationship, like he was calling me, he was checking on the kids, and when he showed me this picture of his mom, that's when I was like, okay, I look just like his mother, so...
Oh, that is bad for Mr. Haggerty's K. If this other man has a mother who looks just like Ms. Wandick, then it probably means that he could be her father. But we don't have to jump to conclusions. Let us learn more.
Did you have any idea about this other man?
No, I haven't. No, I didn't.
When did you find out about this?
I found out about this today.
Today?
Today, right now.
This court informed you that there was another man that could be your daughter's biological father.
Yes.
This is so sad. The worst part is that all of this confusion could have been avoided with a bit more honesty. If only Ms. Davis had been honest with everyone, it would probably have never had to come to this. So what does Ms. Davis think? The other man was at the hospital, and yet Ms. Davis continued the lie? This is incredible stuff. Why did she keep up with the lie when the other man was willing to take care of Ms. Wandick? Why? Well, Ms. Davis explains why.
The thing about it back then is I had a boyfriend and he had a girlfriend.
So now, was your boyfriend the gentleman that came to Miss Wandick, your daughter, crying?
Yes.
So she did all of this just because she wanted to have a baby by Mr. Haggerty? Really? That is psychotic. But if she could tell such a huge lie, why can't she not just take it to the grave? Why now? Anyway, let's hear from Mr. Haggerty's daughter.
Explain it to you, Your Honor, because I wanted a baby by Mr. Haggerty so bad. So bad I had 4 miscarriages by him. So you lie? I put Nicole on him, but I know who the father is.
This is so touching, and the fact that Ms. Davis is the sole reason why this family is going through so much pain is sad. She says her motive for lying was because she wanted to have a baby by Mr. Haggerty. So what is her motive for telling the truth now? Mrs. Wandick has an interesting theory.
So, do you believe Ms. Wandick is your sister?
Of course I do. She looks like my dad. She looks more like my dad than I do. That's all I've ever known. Like, when we were young, we dressed alike. She was with us for a while, so yes, I believe that's my sister.
Ms. Wandick, the victim, says it is because of money. Ms. Davis, the liar, says it is about her felling of guilt. How can we ever know who is telling the truth? Both of them are equally reliable, right? Anyway, here is what the DNA test results has to say about this saga.
Mr. Haggerty, you are not the father. Ms. Wandick, are you okay, honey?
Something that could have been settled 29 years ago.
Mr. Long and Mrs. Brown want to know for sure if their late son genuinely fathered Ms. Chmielinsky's son, or Ms. Chmielinsky just wants to fool them and get some grandchild benefits from them. Ms. Chmielinsky says that is not the case.
Ms. Chmielinsky, you say you had a loving 5-year relationship with the defendant's son, Georgie, who unfortunately died in a motorcycle accident. You claim the defendants initially accepted your son, Xavier, but now need proof that they are Xavier's grandparents. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
It's heartbreaking to hear that their son lost his life in such a tragic accident. However, Ms. Chmielinsky says these grandparents had accepted their supposed grandchild at first, but they are now changing their minds. Hence, the reason they are all on paternity is to find out what the truth really is.
So, Ms. Chmielinsky, what is riding on today's results for you and your son?
My son needs his family. He calls her Nana, and she's been in his life. We need answers. He has nobody.
Okay, let's keep it real, please.
Oh, Miss Chmielinsky hasn't even gotten many words out, and Mrs. Brown is already telling her to keep it real. It seems like Mrs. Brown doesn't want Miss Chmielinsky playing any victim card in Judge Lake's court. Well, that's allowed, but the result of the DNA is what will make us know if the baby can keep calling Grandma Brown Nana.
To the day you found out Georgie passed.
I was devastated, heartbroken, confused.
But why? I just making me understand one thing. Why didn't I know about you?
How did you find out he
was he
passed
having a
away?
girlfriend? He had a girlfriend. I know his girlfriend.
No matter who we were with.
Half of a decade and no one in the family knew? Okay, that's fine, but Ms. Chmielinsky is really playing the victim card really well, but Mrs. Brown won't let it stick. But then again, how come no one knew about Ms. Chmielinsky even if it was a sexual friendship kind of arrangement? Ms. Chmielinsky even said they always had partners and still kept their sexual relationship in check.
Who told you he passed away?
My sister, I just kept calling his phone and he wasn't answering.
Now, at that point that you found out that he passed, did you call his parents or you felt like you didn't know
I didn't
them?
have their number.
I don't know her. I didn't know her.
Because basically, we found out when he actually sent me a picture.
So Ms. Chmielinsky wasn't even the one that reached out. That's fishy. Looks like Mrs. Brown needs some tissues seeing her go through this emotional moment. Mr. Long tries to finish up for Mrs. Brown, and we get the past where their late son had hinted his father about the baby.
Says that this baby's Georgie's. 2 years passed. The only reason why I pursued this test is because a friend of Georgie's, very close friend, told him, listen, you need to find out.
You're so upset, Miss Chmielinsky.
Because it hurts.
Because you feel like they don't
you
know?
Want it to be George. She wants it to be Georgie.
Grandma Brown doesn't want to look at the baby and see what's not there, and that's a valid point. But Ms. Chmielinsky won't stop talking about resemblance. Sometimes the resemblance thing don't do the work, ma'am. So why is Ms. Chmielinsky pissed? Ms. Chmielinsky answers that she's hurt. Sorry about that, ma'am, but what should Ms. Brown do then? Faint in court?
Xavier, when Georgie died.
He was 2 weeks before he turned 1.
Okay. Did Georgie accept Xavier? Did they have a relationship?
At this point, Mrs. Brown has taken over from Judge Lake as she keeps throwing the necessary questions the judge would have asked at Ms. Chmielinsky. The judge doesn't even have a problem with that, but we are now at a crossroad because even Ms. Chmielinsky doesn't know if the baby really belongs to the late Georgie. That's shocking. but at least she's honest.
Execute a test to get the answer.
Right.
Unfortunately, due to his untimely death and the fact that the specimen had expired, you were unable to complete that test.
Right.
A family member of mine had contacted his family. They did not respond until Xavier turned 2, and they said if I come up with the money, then they'll do the test.
Oh, now that's sad. The supposed 2 potential fathers have passed away? That's a tough luck, Ms. Chmielewski. Mrs. Brown is pissed enough there's another person in the picture, but even the other person had suffered a worse fate than her own son. Another thing, both families want to know if their sons really fathered Xavier. Whew.
That's the problem.
That he watches his videos, and I say, you know, that's daddy.
And he points to the videos and says, Daddy.
He calls him Daddy.
Because either way, Georgie told me no matter what the results were when he was alive, that he was going to be in his life.
Georgie couldn't even take care of himself. Mrs. Brown went straight for the hit with that one, but we should deviate from the point. All she was trying to say was that late, Georgie couldn't handle himself well enough not to mention a baby, and Ms. Chmielewski agrees to that fact too. That makes it true. Let's get to the result to settle this once and for all.
The percentage of relatedness between Ms. Brown and Mr. Long and Xavier Chmielewski is 0%.
A happy home got broken due to the doubt concerning the paternity of the child in the family. Ms. Beto says she's certain Mr. Bolton is her baby's biological father, while Mr. Bolton says he has his doubts about the baby.
You say you were furious when the defendant asked you for a DNA test on your 7-month-old daughter, Ileana. Now you claim that request has broken up your happy home. Mr. Bolton, you state you have reason to believe Ms. Beto's child may not be your biological daughter.
Mr. Bolton claims he has grown to love the baby as his own, but he still needs to find out if he isn't getting attached to another man's baby while thinking she's his own baby. That's fine, but Ms. Beto is standing her ground that the baby belongs to her man.
Mr. Bolton, this is not your first time in this courtroom. Here's what happened previous. So how convinced are you now that Mr. Bolton is?
I'm very convinced because I only slept with 3 men at that time.
If he is mine, I will step forth and do 100.
Oh, really? Mr. Bolton has been on paternity court before and the child wasn't even his. Okay, we understand the reason he needs to verify again. Ms. Beto's baby may belong to Mr. Bolton, but he needs to find out for sure about that before getting too involved again.
See, Your Honor, here's the thing. When the baby was born, cut the umbilical cord, the doctors wiped the baby off, and they gave Ms. Beto the baby at first. She was still fatigued from delivering birth.
Understandably.
So they gave me the baby. The doctor that gave the procedure to deliver the baby, he handed me the baby and he looked at me.
A doctor said that? Whew. While the doctor may have uttered an unprofessional statement, y'all can bet that must have given Mr. Bolton more reason to doubt the paternity of the baby. Anyone would. But then again, that doctor was in no position to say such a thing.
Let me just say this. We are, that was stupid. We're mixed. I'm Dominican and black. He's Puerto Rican and black. People in my family have different color eyes. My eyes are hazel. My father's eyes are green. He told me that when he was a young boy, when he was a baby, as a matter of fact, his eyes were blue and then they turned green.
Puerto Rican and black, Dominican and black. That's different shades of skins right there, but the white being the dominant skin is what is causing the problem. Also, friends and family coming to visit and having side talks with Mr. Bolton is a thing. However, Mr. Bolton says he knew he had a loyal and loving woman. So what to do now?
Maybe 2 weeks when Ileana came home, the same boss that we work for, we both work for him, he came to the house and brought a stroller to the home as a gift. And he's from Alabama, he's country guy, But he looked at the baby, and he's like, Rico, is this baby yours?
Oh yeah, that's a lot of reasons to have doubts, to be honest. Everyone had something to say. You can't blame Mr. Bolton for thinking something might be wrong somewhere, especially since he has even been a victim of paternity fraud not only once but thrice. We can't conclude Ms. Beto stepped out, but Mr. Bolton is human, and it's just normal he thinks there may be another man in the picture.
So, Ms. Beto, you tell me you're a faithful, loyal woman, and I have no reason at this point not to believe you. He hasn't presented any testimony that would say otherwise. However, I have to ask you, during the last couple years, how old is Ileana? She's 7 months. Last year and a half or so, have you slept with anybody else?
Mr. Bolton cheated, so Ms. Beto accusing him wouldn't be in vain. That's ridiculous, but okay. Ms. Beto says she also did her own thing, but she did it the right way. It's not commendable, but it's fair enough because that's a better option than Mr. Bolton's own.
Mr. Bolton, you believe that this man could be the father.
Yeah, when she came back together, we got together. We moved back in the same house together. But in the midst of this, she's still going out there to her family's house, doing their hair, coming back home, and guess what? Middle of the night.
Do babies look alike? There are two answers to that question. Anyway, Mr. Bolton's doubts are valid and Ms. Bido's argument is also solid. These two are within their rights, but there's a baby in the picture. And that's always the problem. These adults can do whatever, but the babies? They are innocent.
The only thing I see is a nose.
If he felt like that, Your Honor, why stay for 7 months? Why even take care of her? Why sign the birth certificate?
Your Honor.
Why is it that every time I call you, you run to her? If you felt like that, you should have been said that. You don't
Your
wait
Honor.
7 months later and then tell somebody, like, we're supposed to get married and everything.
Ms. Bido is getting emotional and angry in the same breath, and the reason is obvious. These two people seem to be in love, but they need to get the doubt out of the way first. So let's find out.
Mr. Bolton, you are her father.
Que yo dice, but what I tell you. For me.
Everything speaks for itself because that's what you told me. Actions. Lord, I do though.
Ms. Reeves is on the stand to prove Mr. Silva indeed fathered her 7-month-old son, but Mr. Silva, on the other hand, thinks Ms. Reeves is just trying to play a fast one on him to make him accept the baby that isn't his own child.
Ms. Reeves, you are here today to prove that the defendant, Mr. Silva, is the biological father of your 7-month-old son, Legend. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Silva, you were involved in a paternity case on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta in support of your sister, who took a DNA test to prove paternity.
Okay, Mr. Silva has had a first-hand experience from his own family member, so that double-checks his doubt of not wanting to trust the woman he laid with. However, Ms. Reeves stands with her claim that Mr. Silva is her baby daddy. Now let's dig.
Ms. Reeves, explain to the court how this paternity doubt has affected your relationship.
Well, it's affected everything in my life. We've been on and off for about 3 years. Right now, every single time I turn around, it's always, oh, are you sure that he's my baby? Are you sure that he's my baby? Yes, I'm 100% sure. Like, why do you keep asking me?
Ms. Reeves says she and Mr. Silva have been having an on and off relationship for about 3 years. That's not a one-night stand kind of thing or even a short-lived relationship. We really need to know what brought about Mr. Silva's doubt concerning the paternity of the baby.
Silva, why do you have doubt?
I just don't trust her, Your Honor. I feel like she's tricking me into believing that I'm Legend's father. I grew up loving women, loving sex.
You grew up loving sex?
To me, I always felt like it was okay for men to go out.
Wait, what? Did Mr. Silva just say it's okay for men to go out and cheat and come back home to their women? Now there's the question of who exactly raised Mr. Silva, because that is completely absurd. In fact, Mr. Silva is one bold man to utter such words and not even feel any type of way. Anyway.
All of this started because all he wanted to do was cheat on me. I've been nothing but faithful to him since I first met him.
And so you believe he's projecting his unfaithfulness onto you?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you doing that, Mr. Silva? Do you have any
Your
reason
Honor,
to believe Ms. Reeves has not been faithful? You basically said...
Now that's laughable because Mr. Silva got everyone in Judge Lake's court laughing out loud. And just like the judge said, Mr. Silva really thinks we are still in the 1800s with his overruling and conqueror speech. Slow down, Tiger. This is the 21st century and things are quite done differently these days, Mr. Silva.
You're here to conquer. Why can't you conquer your doubt and conquer your fear that she's also doing something that she says she's not doing?
Well, Your Honor, I feel like if I'm out here, doing what I'm doing, and she's out, doing whatever she's doing, she's possibly doing the same thing.
Exactly. Why should that be a problem to Mr. Silva when it's a supposed two-way street? If Mr. Silva can do it, so can Ma Reeves, but Mr. Silva thinks that's not appropriate. So he's here to know if his woman has been conquering as much as him, and maybe it led to baby Legend.
You find out you're pregnant, Ms. Reeves.
Well, we was broken up at the time.
Your Honor, we were broken up for 4 weeks, Your Honor. So when she finally got out the bathroom, I was like, so you're texting your ex and you changed your password. What you gotta hide? And that's exactly...
But my whole thing is like, why do you keep asking me what I have to hide when every single time I turn around it's another female?
Mr. Silva isn't supposed to be bothered since the cheating goes both ways. However, there's Ms. Reeves' ex in the situation, and there's also a baby involved. That makes the situation different. We need to know if baby Legend is Mr. Silva's son, or there's another potential father, which may be Miss Reeves' ex.
How long were you broken up before she told you she was pregnant?
Was broken up for about 3-4 weeks, a month.
But it also was while you were texting your ex.
But he never saw anything in my phone like, oh, let's hang out, oh, let's chill. It was always like, hey, how are you doing? Just checking in on you, just checking up.
On daily basis.
Mr. Silva's doubts are valid, but Miss Reeves' claim about the window of conception gives a different perspective. While Mr. Silva believes in conquering and all of that, he went soft and signed the birth certificate. And that puts the story in another bind.
Is 7 months old.
And I've been there.
Since day one.
Since day one. I got him clothes, everything he needed. I take care of him. I let him meet my family. I just needed this DNA test. That's the only way we could work on our relationship. That's the only way that I can continue loving my son and loving her. Because I do love her, Your Honor.
Mr. Silva may be having doubts, but he has been a good father through and through. But the man still wants to know if his blood runs through that baby or not. So now we need to get the result and free this man of his doubt.
Mr. Silva, you are the father. You are the father.
That's all I needed to know, Your Honor. I'm sorry, and I did have my doubt with Legend, but I know that he's my son.
Ms. Billingsley is in Judge Lake's court to prove to Mr. Broadnax.
Why are you texting your ex-boyfriend these things?
He don't treat me right.
Your body is naked, wishing you were in the bed. Which bed? Your husband's bed?
That she was my daughter.
And then just to know that my sister's resting in her grave, needs to know who her family really is. I just need to know too, for sure. We can all move on. Either way it go, he's been her father.
Have you talked to Carly today? You say no. Why? Friend says she has some guy over here with her in the living room. You text back, are they hugged up or anything? And she texts back, yes. Was this the ex? Have you talked to Carly today? You say no. Why? Friend says she has some guy over here with her in the living room. You text back, are they hugged up or anything? And she texts back, yes.
I thought it was funny. It ain't so funny now. Cause I know who my baby's daddy is, but it ain't so funny. It's not funny. Look at my baby. Look, he is beautiful.
I wasn't even with anybody.
Who you driving my uncle's house with? Who was
that was
in the car?
The guy in October. That's the same. I mean, his ex, of course. Like, he would leave my house just to see his ex and their child. And they would spend time together. They had pictures all on Facebook. It's like, wow, you didn't tell me any of this. I didn't know none of this.
Case of Streety versus Johnson. When it comes to 13-month-old Zeandre Streety, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Streety, you are...
Case of Manser versus Serre is truly a heartbreaking tale. Mr. Manser spent 5 long years in prison due to unpaid child support for his son, and now he was in court to establish the child's paternity.
Mr. Manser, you claim you spent 5 years in prison for failing to pay child support for the defendant, Ms. Sears' son, Dylan.
That's right.
And it was never proven that you are his biological father.
From being neighbors to possibly becoming partners and parents, it was clear that Mr. Manser and Miss Serre had a troubled relationship. The pressing question was how their situation turned from bad to worse. Miss Serre claimed to have evidence.
You say you have proof that Mr. Manser is Dylan's father. You argue you are here to prove again that he is the father of your son, to finally stop him running from his responsibility.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Manser, explain to the court the circumstances surrounding your arrest.
Well, Your Honor, I'm here to explain that 12 hours of my life cost me 5 years in the Department of Corrections.
Mr. Manser, who was struggling without a job, received notice of a lawsuit. It was the first time he learned he might have fathered a child, but he wouldn't regain his freedom for years due to child support issues. If he had no idea he had a child, why was he imprisoned for a child he only discovered through legal documents? He was desperate to find out if the child he was incarcerated for was indeed his.
Up for court and
what
No,
happened?
I wasn't
No, he
able
didn't
to.
show
I wasn't
up.
able to show up for court. I was completely on the other side of the state. I was indigent. I was living at my mom's. Didn't have a job at the time, so I didn't show up for court. And I was named the natural father by default.
And then what happened?
And then I was charged criminally for not paying the child support that was ordered in the.
Mr. Manser was visibly distressed, having served 5 years for what he believed was an unfair punishment for missing a court date. The judge had a different perspective. Meanwhile, Miss Serre seemed indifferent, showing no sense of responsibility for Mr. Manser's plight. Did he truly deserve such a harsh consequence?
You didn't pay child support for about 8 years. Quit telling him it's 3 years. It was about 8 years.
The court order was 1995. I got arrested in 1998, so that's 3 years in my calculation. 12 years. And then and I went to prison for 5 years. When I got out of prison in 2003, I paid child support from that day until just February of last year when I lost my
Only
job.
because they garnished your wages.
Absolutely, that's what they did.
The judge shared insights about relationships for young adults. It became clear that the law applies to everyone. Mr. Manser's failure to attend court had placed him in a default position as Miss Serre's child's father, regardless of the circumstances. Despite the harshness of the situation, Mr. Manser accepted the judge's guidance, recognizing it as the most sensible course of action.
Goes to Florida on spring break and hooks up with a girl, and the girl goes to Texas, and the boy goes back to Massachusetts, and there's a petition to show up.
Yes!
If he can't fly from Massachusetts to Texas, he's automatically the natural father.
He better find
Well,
a
there's
way.
gonna be a lot
And
of people
listen,
in
listen,
prison.
listen. The pain that you've endured and what you've gone through is in part because
my stubbornness.
Mr. Manser, refusing to back down, continued to assert that the child was not his, even after receiving a sentence. Years later, his position remained unchanged, and according to the presiding judge, this situation was straight out of a movie. On the flip side, Miss Serre claims to have irrefutable evidence proving that Mr. Manser is indeed the father of her son, but Mr. Manser was not convinced in the slightest. Here's the reason why.
you're a living example of that.
And it needs to be
So
known
now,
out
as
there.
you're being hauled off to court, you're still adamant and you're saying, I'm not the father of this child.
I'm saying I've never been proven to be the father of this child. I hadn't met him until he was like 15 years after I initiated contact for my son Chris. I wanted.
So wait,
but I
now
paid-
are
I
you
paid the ultimate
convinced he
price
is the
for that
father?
Yes, ma'am.
While he firmly believes he is the father, Mr. Manser pointed out that Miss Serre's evidence was lacking in credibility. Fortunately, the court intervened by presenting the results of an independent DNA test it had conducted. This led to a heated argument between Miss Serre and Mr. Manser, prompting the judge to call a new witness to help ease the tension in the courtroom.
This court has administered new testing, and both of you submitted to the test. Is that correct?
And it was very thorough. There was
And
initially.
is that correct, Ms. Sear?
Yes.
It's gonna be
And we
quite
will
different than what she's
reveal
presented.
those results shortly.
You think our DNA changed in 20 years?
No, I think the chain of custody's changed. I think.
Okay.
Your Honor, wouldn't most women want to shove that piece of paper in my
Mr. Manser's son took the stand to discuss his upbringing alongside his father and brothers. Meanwhile, Dylan, Miss Serre's son, whose paternity was under scrutiny, was also brought into the courtroom to share his perspective on his relationship with his father. It was a day filled with tension as the judge prepared to announce the DNA test results, which promised to be the most surprising revelation yet.
Mr. Manser, you are not
Oh, God.
his father.
Oh, man.
Court hears Miss Cole admitting to being a bit mischievous and having been involved with several other men. However, she insists that it doesn't matter because Mr. Gilbert is the father of her unborn child. Mr. Gilbert, on the other hand, dismisses her claims as nonsense. Let's see how this unfolds.
Cole and her daughter are constantly lying. We don't know the truth from fiction anymore. I'd like to just find out where we stand on this whole situation. Everything that comes out of their mouths is lies.
So you believe the baby she's carrying is not your son's child?
Absolutely.
Now, hold on a second. There's no bias here, but why does Mr. Gilbert resemble a mix between a schoolboy caught in an embarrassing moment and a pre-mustache version of a notable German figure from the 1930s? That's just odd. Anyway, let's hear his side of the story.
Have sex with Miss Cole?
Yes, Your Honor.
You did. Was it unprotected sex?
Yes.
Okay. Miss Cole, what was the nature of this relationship with Mr. Gilbert?
We went to school together. We were best friends in school. And
Seriously, what's with his expression? This guy gives me the creeps. According to the testimony, they were intimate twice in one day, but it never happened again. So, here's what went down when Mr. Adolph Gilbert learned he was going to be a father.
Would you be in the baby's life if you knew it was yours? And then you wrote back, yay.
No, yeah, why? There's supposed to be a space there.
Oh, yeah, why? So you, I get it. It's not yay.
Yeah.
It's yeah, why? And then she says, because I am.
Seems he didn't really have any doubts. It looked more like he simply didn't want to become a parent at all. This situation is getting more interesting by the minute. Are there any other options on the table?
Her daughter, Tasha, was in the background yelling, he's not the only option, he's not the only option. It may be somebody else's, it may be somebody else's. And I'm going, really?
That's not true.
You can hear her. Hold on one second, Ms. Cole. I'm going to get to you. You were on the phone and you say you overheard.
At least we've cleared that up. There's still one more possibility on the table, and Mr. Gilbert might just escape this situation. However, things are rarely simple in paternity court, especially since this other possibility comes with a bit of a hit.
Honor, he's fixed, and he did not complete.
So you're saying the other potential father, you've found out since that he's had a vasectomy, or he had a vasectomy?
He had.
But that's just his word. He's never given any evidence.
Being old enough to be my father isn't a legitimate age. It's more like a sign that the age gap is likely even wider than that between a father and daughter. It's more like a grandpa and daughter scenario. Can this guy even father a child? And it gets even more interesting.
Yours, you write back, I don't. Miss Cole write, the other guy is fit. You write back, so he says. And if you believe that, you wouldn't have lied to me. Cole writes back, do you want to be in this baby's life? And then you write.
Nice job, Mr. Gilbert. You'd think this case is solely about him and Miss Cole, but that's not the case. Their mothers are on the verge of a major clash, and it's going to get messy with all the lies involved.
That she had told him, and it's been nothing but lies out of her mouth. And that's what we have constantly gotten from not but one of you, but two of you. You don't find out the truth about what's going on in a conversation between your daughter and I, and you roll over.
There seems to be a lot of tension between these two families, but let's refocus on the paternity question. Is there any additional evidence we should consider? Let's find out, because this twist is wild.
Why do I have evidence right here? The day they went to take the paternity test, this says your daughter is praying that it is my son's, that
what
she
is
doesn't
that?
know for sure.
Wait, what do you have?
Right here,
Jerome,
Your Honor.
please hand me that evidence.
See this?
She is praying that it is.
Wait.
I want it to be his so bad.
And you know what? She's absolutely right. People fabricate stories all the time, which is precisely why paternity court exists. That's why this court will rely on the one thing that tells the truth, the DNA test result.
Father?
No doubt.
These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In order for us to determine paternity, prenatal DNA test was performed. A blood sample was drawn from the mother.
Miss Benskin claims that her 4-year-old child is Mr. Haskett's. However, Mr. Haskett argues that this is untrue, labeling Miss Benskin as a money-driven liar, with his girlfriend supporting his claims. Miss Benskin counters that if Mr. Haskett doesn't start paying his child support, he could face jail time.
About $8,000 behind in child support. He cannot hold a job. He has not held a job for a very long time. He's already been to jail once for it, and he's still not paying.
Well, you say you're here to do him a favor. Because you need to get this legal situation.
Why is she speaking on his behalf? It's puzzling that he has been paying child support for 4 years for a child he believes isn't his. This situation definitely needs clarification.
As we had a court date set, and first it had got changed.
It didn't get changed. He didn't show up.
No.
He called in. He did not show up.
That is not how it happened. The first one was rescheduled, and then we had to go again, and then they said that they changed it, and then he rescheduled it.
It's a tough situation for him, and if he doesn't resolve it, he might actually end up in jail, which would be a serious injustice. That's why the DNA test is crucial, although it complicates things for Mr. Haskett.
You've even spent time in jail for failure to pay this support.
Yes.
I've never
Yes, you did. You went to jail, and you got out right after. Remember?
You don't remember going to jail, Mr. Haskett?
I bonded out.
He bonded out right after.
The stakes are high why, yet Mr. Haskett seems indifferent. Miss Benskin insists that none of this is her fault, pointing out that he could have requested a DNA test if he truly cared.
You were having sex with her, am I correct?
Yes.
You were not using protection?
No.
You were not using protection?
No.
All right, so now we're on the same page that we can make a baby with a paternity issue. So you had sex without protection. How long did this relationship
Appears to be a complicated love triangle. Mr. Haskett was previously with his girlfriend, then started seeing Miss Benskin, only to return to his girlfriend, leaving Miss Benskin feeling sidelined.
Called his family members and they knew everything about it, and they are still in Kinsley's life. He just chooses not to be.
So you've talked to his family members, they accept Kinsley, you told him you were pregnant, and he just didn't respond. You couldn't get an answer from him.
Yes, Your Honor.
So was he the only guy you...
It's quite the character move for Mr. Haskett to engage with someone without protection and then block her on social media when confronted. Who would do that, right? It seems rather irresponsible.
Question.
Yes.
How do you know that?
She had came over to my house, but she had told me she had to pick up her friend from work. And after we had picked him up, he got in the car, he kissed her on the cheek and said that he loved her. And I just kind of stepped back from the situation. And
Mr. Haskett's family accepts Miss Benskin. It raises questions about his choices. However, he has his own reasons for his stance.
Referred to as one of my good friends, and he didn't have a way to work. I gave him a ride to work in my car. And if there was sexual intercourse with this other guy, why would I ask you to go with me to pick him up?
This changes everything. If Miss Benskin has been dishonest, it calls her credibility into question. Here's what she has to say about those accusations.
Benskin, there is no doubt in your mind Mr. Haskett is your child's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
You have no doubt?
No doubt. I'm just ready to prove it to him. My daughter's 4. She deserves to know who her dad is, and she doesn't. Brent, we've lived 3 houses down from him for 2 months.
This situation is definitely intense. Now it's time for the big reveal. Is Mr. Haskett the father of this adorable little girl, or is there someone else involved? Let's find out.
Resemblance, Mr. Haskett?
No.
Well, as I said, I have the results for you, but I do want to ask you, Ms. Benskin, one more time. No lying.
No lying.
Just tell the truth. Is there any other possible father?
No.
For Kinsley?
No, Your Honor.
All right.
It's astonishing to consider that we have only just begun, and the situation has already become so intense. Miss White initiates her case by expressing her urgent need to establish the paternity of her 3-year-old daughter, Savannah, in relation to her husband. She openly acknowledges her past infidelities and expresses hope that confirming Savannah's paternity will help restore their damaged trust. Prepare yourselves, as this tumultuous journey is only just commencing.
You've opened your case because the only way to save your marriage and family is to prove to your husband that 3-year-old daughter, Savannah.
Yes, sir.
You admit you've cheated in the past, but husband will trust you again. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Tension continues to escalate as Mr. White confronts the painful uncertainties that have haunted their marriage, exacerbated by neighborhood rumors and his own investigations on social media. The emotional toll has intensified their marital discord to a critical juncture, and the situation is about to become even more complex.
Because when it first all come about to where she was having an ex-boyfriend, I had neighbors tell me he was coming over, and then I started doing the snooping on Facebook, seeing where his location was, and then we got into an argument one night. He showed up, and that's when I knew there was something happening. Call him if we're arguing.
The narrative takes a deeper turn as Miss White discloses the underlying factors contributing to her infidelity, including her struggles with abandonment stemming from her adoption. She yearns for greater affection and public recognition from her husband, laying bare her emotional vulnerabilities. The stakes are raised even higher in the subsequent testimonies.
But I have abandonment issues. He's not showing me the love and affection that I need, trying to make excuses for myself because I admit what I've done is wrong. Love and affection and be there for me, and he's not doing.
But wait a minute, because you admittedly have been cheating, you've had to open this case to prove paternity of Savannah in hopes of saving your marriage.
This segment serves as a significant revelation as they reflect on the rapid progression of their relationship into marriage and parenthood, a whirlwind characterized by youthful passion and overwhelming overwhelming responsibilities. Intricacies of their situation only deepen as we continue to uncover more layers in the moments
I
ahead.
moved in with them after a month of being together. I ended up getting pregnant with our first child. We ended up getting married. Everything just happened so quickly at 19 years old. So.
You got married young?
Yes.
Did you start cheating?
Yes.
I didn't find out for sure. Admittedly told me when Savannah was 6 months old, 50 chance that Savannah wasn't mine.
This is where the gravity of the situation becomes apparent. The discussion shifts to the impact of their tumultuous marriage on their children, with Mr. White emphasizing the necessity of a stable and loving environment, regardless of whether they remain together or separate. However, brace yourselves, as the next segment will unveil just how intricate their relationship has truly become.
And at the same time, it was kind of a relief because for a fact that it was actually happening, it wasn't just, oh, it's an assumption, I don't know. I think more than anything that I was more hurt, done got attached to her. 6 months old, was there for the whole 9 months. I was the one that cut. I've been there for all my kids. I work to provide for my kids because I want them to have a better life than I did.
Prepare for a shocking revelation as Miss White's ongoing infidelity is starkly illustrated through incriminating text messages exchanged with an ex-boyfriend, further highlighting the extent of her betrayal. The emotional repercussions are on the verge of erupting, and it will be compelling to observe how this situation unfolds.
Why are you texting your ex-boyfriend these things?
He don't treat me right. Like,
your body is naked, wishing you were in the bed. Which bed? Your husband's bed?
Yeah.
You submitted another text message? Oh, this is another guy. This is not the ex-boyfriend's name. Laying here horny, and you say, Miss White, I know me too. And then you forgot the other O on two.
As the situation seemed to reach its peak, the court examined further evidence regarding Miss White's unfaithfulness, which included additional explicit text messages that highlighted the significant discord in the marriage and her apparent indifference to their union. The implications of these findings set the stage for a dramatic revelation that is imminent.
Why are you entertaining all these men on text?
because he doesn't show me anything.
Always with the
He's not there for me.
Always pivoting, you're trying to put it off on me. How you expect me to treat you the way you want to be treated when you're sitting here sexting other people and doing all for my money to take care of the kids? Because every time that I threaten to kick you from the marriage, we're not saying that you want to go see every time, Dick.
Prepare yourself for an emotional moment as Mr. White shares the painful details of his confrontation with Miss White regarding her infidelity. This leads to a deeply moving conversation about the uncertainties surrounding their child's paternity. The emotional weight of his testimony lays the groundwork for a stunning conclusion.
What you would call, she aspirates. When she drinks, she has to have it thickened, or half of it will go into her lungs. Been there through that, been there through everything, the difficulties did my other children. I just love her. I don't know what I would do. I tried to leave this relationship, but she won't let me leave. I've stood in front of the car to where I couldn't leave her. She says, I'm gonna call the cops and tell them you hit.
Are you prepared for this climactic finale? In a highly charged emotional moment, the results of the paternity test are revealed.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. White, you are her father.
Miss Henderson commences her case by revealing her lifelong uncertainty regarding her father's identity. She had always believed that Mr. Henderson was her biological father until, at the age of 15, Mr. William Rycroft asserted his claim to paternity. She articulates her doubts and her quest for the truth through this case, setting the stage for an unfolding suspense that promises to captivate the audience.
Mr. Henderson was your biological father at the age of 15. Mr. Rycroft, he is your dad. You are doubtful and have opened today's case to get...
Prepare for an emotional journey as Miss Henderson elaborates on the profound impact of her father's absence, which has affected both her and her children, who are eager to learn about their grandparents. She conveys a heartfelt yearning for familial ties and closure, emphasizing her willingness to uncover the truth about her paternity. The emotional intensity is just beginning to unfold.
Kids, they want to know their grandparents. My daughter, she tells me all the time, Mom, we're going to find your dad. I'm just ready. I want to be close to somebody, be close to them. I've always been close to him, but I need to know.
Get ready for a significant revelation as Mr. William Rycroft confidently asserts that he is indeed Miss Henderson's biological father. He recounts the immediate emotional bond he felt upon their first meeting, bolstered by his aunt's unwavering belief in his paternity. Their conviction adds a layer of emotional depth to the proceedings, proceedings as they seek judicial confirmation, heightening the tension of the narrative.
When we met, I just felt that she was my daughter.
And then just to know that my sister's resting in her grave, she needs to know who her family really is. I just need to know, too, for sure. We can all move on. Either way it go, he's been her father, and they're going to remain.
The situation becomes increasingly complex as Mr. Henderson shares his marital struggles and uncertainties regarding Miss Henderson's paternity, particularly following his wife's prolonged absence. His account raises suspicions of infidelity and reveals the intricate dynamics that have led to the paternity dispute, leaving the audience eager for what lies ahead.
Left me in California, went to visit her mother in Arkansas. My other daughter told me that my mom is pregnant.
And so when you find that out, cheated, or you assume this is my baby? She was pregnant before she left.
I talked to her. I told her, if it's the girl, it's ours. It's the boy, you gotta go.
So you had an inkling, a suspicion
that it wasn't mine.
Are you on the birth certificate?
Prepare for a dramatic twist as Miss Henderson recounts her initial encounter with Mr. William Rycraw, which was orchestrated by her aunt and marked by a positive emotional experience. However, her mother's subsequent remarks cast doubt on her feelings and the narrative surrounding her paternity, indicating that the story is about to take an even more intense turn.
I meet my dad, and we held each other. I asked my mom after that about him. I don't know why William thinks he's your dad. The last time I was with him, I was 18, and I had you when I was 25.
My sister, when it comes to telling the truth on certain things, they'll beat around the bush. And like she didn't answer him when she came back, she didn't tell her the truth.
The narrative takes a compelling turn as the episode unfolds, revealing intricate family secrets and affairs that hint at a complex network of relationships and concealed truths regarding Miss Henderson's origins. This development adds significant depth to the ongoing paternity mystery, indicating that the revelations are only beginning to surface.
Just beating around the bush, not saying nothing about it. So I went on and told her, do you want to meet your dad?
So you called her that day?
I want to meet his daughter. I called him, and he came to Revival, and I said, you want to meet your daughter?
We want to hear from you. What was that day like?
I'm just astonished about it. I believe she's my daughter. Karen went back to California. I believe she was.
Prepare for an astonishing revelation.
Has been determined by this court. Mr. Henderson, you are not the father.
Can you believe the beginning of this saga? Miss Gregory reveals that the defendant, Mr. Elston, ended their engagement just 2 weeks ago, expressing doubts about the paternity of their son, Carson. She is advocating for a DNA test to confirm that Mr. Elston is indeed the father, hoping to reconcile their relationship. However, Mr. Elston and his sister are speculating that Miss Gregory's ex-partner may be the true father. Prepare yourself, as this is merely the prelude to a much more intricate story.
You say just 2 weeks ago the defendant called off your engagement due to paternity doubts surrounding your son Carson.
Yes, Your Honor.
You have petitioned the court for a DNA test to prove Mr. Elston is the father and hope the result will save your family.
The situation intensifies as Miss Gregory focuses on preserving her family, emphasizing the necessity of having their father present for her children, Carson and the unborn child. She recounts their engagement in May and how the paternity controversy led to their recent separation. Mr. Elston shares his perspective, which has been influenced by rumors of Miss Gregory's infidelity, including alleged sightings of her ex-partner. The revelations are heating up, and there is more to come.
Ms. Gregory, how important is it to save your family?
It's very important for me to save my family because I feel that my kids, both of them, my unborn child and Carson, deserves. And I feel that we got engaged in May. He broke up with me 2 weeks ago because of paternity issues. So I feel that we need to get this all cleared up.
The drama escalates as Mr. Elston confronts his trust issues, exacerbated by gossip regarding Miss Gregory's supposed indiscretions, which he claims to have investigated while away. His sister supports his claims, alleging that she saw the ex-partner's truck parked at Miss Gregory's residence. In response, Miss Gregory expresses confusion over which vehicle they are referring to, given the parking situation at her apartment complex. Buckle up, as the roller coaster of accusations is just beginning.
You know, people calling me and texting me telling me that she's cheating or either somebody's in the driveway. I work out of town. I'm like, I do stuff like I send people over there to check on just to make sure she's not doing nothing. And, you know, multiple people people told me that they caught her ex in the driveway, caught his car there.
Your Honor, I'm actually the one who caught her ex in the driveway. My brother was out of town. He's a hard-working man.
The unfolding drama reveals how Miss Gregory and Mr. Elston initially connected, while both were involved with other people. Shortly after their first meeting, a pregnancy complicates their already tumultuous relationship. Watch as this intricate web of relationships becomes even more complicated in the upcoming segment.
How this relationship stopped?
Me and Mr. Elston met through my ex at a basketball game. I was dating.
Through your ex?
I was dating my ex, and he was cheating on me at the time, so I felt comfort in Mr. Elston. He had a girlfriend also. We started sleeping together 2 weeks after we met, and then I got pregnant like almost a month later.
And at that time, were you and Mr. Elston boyfriend and girlfriend, or were you still just cheating on your ex?
This episode is not to be missed. Amid an emergency C-section, Mr. Elston raises doubts about the paternity of the newborn, Carson, claiming he appears too Caucasian to be his child, despite having previously expressed a desire to pass on his surname. He withdraws, leaving Miss Gregory in a state of alarm. Dear viewers, the saga of trust issues is far from resolved.
Was Mr. Elston at the hospital?
He came to the hospital the second day. I had to have an emergency section, so I was in the hospital for 5 days. He came the second and begged for me to give Carson his last name. You cannot give my son your last name right now.
No, Your Honor, I was in the hospital all happy, because I was expecting to be my first child. Like, I walked in all happy, and we sit down, take a picture, and I looked at him
Your
real
exact
closely.
words was, he's too white.
And Your Honor,
exactly
3 weeks after the birth, Mr. Elston re-enters the scene, leading to an engagement just when it seems that stability is returning. However, new doubts regarding the baby introduce a fresh wave of drama, indicating that the storyline is about to become more complex. So remain attentive.
3 weeks after I had Carson, he started coming around more. So we ended up getting into a relationship, got engaged, and we was doing good. And then I got pregnant in June. I'm pregnant now, and he just doubts this baby, and more doubts are coming up from Carson. He's asking me for an unborn DNA test and stuff because he doesn't trust me.
Otherwise, it wouldn't be any doubt.
Things like what?
She's actually posted a picture with another dude around the time she was supposed to be pregnant by my brother.
Prepare for unexpected courtroom revelations as Miss Gregory confesses to having engaged with other men during pivotal moments, causing the issue of fidelity to unravel with each message and social media post. This tension escalates with a shocking disclosure of a Valentine's Day threesome. The highly anticipated moment arrives as the DNA results are revealed.
The friend says, have you talked to Carly today? You say no. Why? Friend says she has some guy over here with her in the living room. You text back, are they hugged up or anything? And she texts back, yes. Was this the ex that she saw you hugged up with?
Yes, Your Honor.
and she posted a picture on her ex birthday in March. Everybody have sex on somebody's birthday, so I'm not gonna sleep together.
Get ready for the significant announcement. The DNA verdict lands with explosive impact.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Elston, you are not the father.
Bully Jack has gone to court to show to Mr. Davis that he is the father of her kid, but Mr. Davis has come prepared and with several witnesses. Mr. Davis discloses something startling and the court is shocked, yet more is revealed.
Real close with him too, so I don't know if she was there.
Even more comes to light as it appears that all witnesses state that Miss Bly Jack cheated on Mr. Davis.
Had me to babysit her kids while she go over there, and she would stay for hours. And when she come back, like the same way when he came when she came back.
You think she was sleeping with this guy?
Absolutely. Yes, we know.
Yes,
we know.
How do you know she was sleeping with this person?
I brought it up. Everybody knows. She absolutely admitted to it.
She told you this directly to your face.
That is my testimony.
She was lying to me, telling me that it was somebody else.
Miss Bly Jack claims she has never strayed on her, but Mr. Davis exposes even more details.
Hold on, Miss Bully Jack, did you cheat with this person?
Told her that I actually kind of had a crush.
Lake diverts the emphasis of the case to where it is intended to be. The moment has come for Judge Lake to finally tell the truth.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Davis, you are the father. Where is the apology? I wish you all the very best. Court is adjourned.
Find out who her child's father is, as she has no idea.
Miss Smith, you're here because you claim she has 3 possible fathers. You've requested results of multiple paternity tests to determine who her one biological father is.
Miss Smith describes the moment when she realized she screwed up and recalls the past, while Mr. Bailey remembers the tale differently.
Enlighten the court. How did you end up with 3 possible fathers?
Well, Your Honor, I was married And I was really going through a bad time with my husband, and I sought comfort in Mr. Bailey throughout the whole 8 years we've messed around.
So this has been a long-term relationship.
It wasn't a relationship.
Yes, Your Honor, yes it was.
So you're denying it, but you're here in this courtroom. You must have participated in some part of it.
Yes, ma'am, I participated in it. I was looking for somewhere to stay. I called her, asked if she knew it any places. One thing led to another. We just ended up messing around.
Miss Smith calls out Mr. Bailey, but Mr. Bailey has his own defense, and he is not wrong. When things become too much, the judge steps in.
You was looking for houses?
Every time we got a key, we had sex.
The bottom line is, Mr. Bailey, you acting like you didn't participate, but you had sex enough.
Yeah, sex with a lot of men that could be possible to father.
That's not true. He has always been my go-to guy, and I'm his go-to girl. But
the only reason we're here today.
Miss Smith discusses the number of partners she had throughout the period of conception.
When you found out you were pregnant, yes, who did you tell that you were pregnant and that they were the father?
She told both of us.
You said she told you were the father.
Yes, ma'am.
But your testimony also is that she told
her husband.
I want to get the truth for this little girl. So how many men did you sleep with during the window of conception?
2.
Miss Smith accepts responsibility for her actions in order to discover the truth for her daughter.
My daughter looks like this man.
No, she doesn't.
But
I told my wife that she had multiple
partners. Wait a minute, this woman ain't never had a conversation with Miss Smith.
Miss Smith, if I can't hear your case, it's no sense of you talking. And if you're not going to be talking, there's no sense of you to be here. You got to set the example, baby.
I want my daughter to have a father. Regardless of my mistake, I don't want her to go through that. And women as little girls, they need a man to show them who and what not to go after.
And that's what mothers do.
Mr. Anderson, the second probable father, steps in, although he does not believe he is the father.
This is what I want to do now. I want to hear from Mr. Anderson. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Anderson. Miss Smith has admitted that she had a one-night stand with you during the window of conception, and you potentially could be her daughter's biological father.
No, I don't think so.
Mr. Anderson describes the moment he met the kid for the first time and how he discovered he may have been the father.
When did you first hear about Tamia?
About 2 months ago, the girl that I met her through seen the child, but she never said that I could be the possible father. Well, after they left, she text messaged me and told me that I could possibly be the father of her child.
So you just thought it was a joke?
Yeah, I pretty much thought it was a joke.
Mr. Anderson presents evidence that supports his position, but Miss Smith calls him out.
So what other doubt do you have besides the fact that you feel like you only slept with her once?
Well, I have a medical condition. I was diagnosed with leukemia, and my doctor told me that if I did have children, that they'd have severe birth defect if I could have kids at all. So that's my reasoning for thinking that the baby just couldn't possibly be mine.
Miss Smith, that can give him a little doubt.
Yes, ma'am, it could.
A witness, Mr. Bailey's wife, is called to testify and the proceedings begin. Mr. Bailey's wife sets Miss Smith off and she doesn't hold back anymore, forcing the judge to step in.
You have a witness, Mr. Bailey, and you are Mrs. Bailey.
Yes.
You have heard a lot in this courtroom today.
Yeah, I knew everything already.
And you knew that already?
Yes.
Because you're stupid. So what do you, hold on, Miss Smith, don't make me throw you out. Don't be disrespectful to this woman. Now, what would you like to add, ma'am, to this situation? You know everything she said is true.
She told me. She sent me a message on Facebook that it was a possibility he could be the father. We stayed in the same house together. She sent me, his older sister, and her
All right,
together.
so let me just ask you this. Do you think your husband is her child's father?
It's a possibility. I'm not doubting.
Finally, after all the wrangling and debating, it's time to disclose the final DNA results.
Jerome, I'm ready for the result. Together, court is adjourned.
Mr. Stray claims that he is not the father of Miss Johnson's child and demands financial recompense.
Mr. Streety, when you found out that your ex-girlfriend, Miss Johnson, cheated with a man she worked with at a haunted house, you have dragged the defendant into court today to prove that you are not her 13-month-old son, Zeandre's father, so you can remove your name from the birth certificate. Additionally, you are also suing for $108, the cost to get your name removed. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Stray acknowledges he had questions about his paternity, but signed the birth certificate nevertheless.
So, Mr. Streety, why did you sign Ziandre's birth certificate if you had doubt?
In the beginning, it was the way I felt about her. When we first met, she was already pregnant. We were trying to make things happen. We were trying to be a family.
Let me be clear. So you took on the role of father for a child you knew wasn't yours. When you met her, she was pregnant.
Plus, they're older siblings, too.
But you signed the birth certificate of the first child.
And his brother, the two youngest.
So how many children do you have between the two of you?
1.
Now tell me about this relationship before you got pregnant with Ziandre.
We met back up after years of not seeing each other. And when he came back that December, he proposed to me. I would say he was still involved with someone else because he was receiving phone calls, like very suspicious about it. And I didn't pay attention to him.
She knew that I was moving out there, so that way, me and her.
Okay, so you told her, I'm going to go to Denver first and get things set up, and then you going to come as well.
Miss Johnson recounts how they first met. Mr. Stray, why did you sign?
So now the first thing we really need to understand is, why do you doubt? Ziandre's yours.
All of her bills, automatically my responsibility. Here we go. We're moving through here. After a midst of all of that going on, I'm getting tired of being accused of things that I'm not doing. So I move out. Not even a few weeks later, see her at the gas station around the street from my brother's house.
Wait a minute, saw with other man. That's the red car? And what did you see when you saw that?
I saw them at the gas station at a pump. She just chilling in the truck. As a matter of fact, this person that she's with, if this was such a good man, he's sitting in the truck, she's pumping the gas. A couple weeks later, I'm playing soccer with my two younger cousins in my uncle's front yard. Guess who come bending around the corner? Her and the same nut that I saw earlier at the gas station. This time he's driving.
And that's the car below, driving with other man. That's the same other man.
Same person. This is around the time where I discovered that she's pregnant. You got to understand, I'm gonna feel some type of way.
Mr. Stray offers his perspective in court, offering facts to back his assertions.
Now, Mr. Streety, hold your thought. Ms. Johnson, do you remember those instances?
I do.
Do you remember the man you were driving with?
I was, but all that took place in October. I didn't meet the guy until October.
No, she tells me that, Your Honor, and as far as she's concerned, she's gonna tell me that.
Mr. Streety, I just want to make sure. Now, how do you know it's August? You just remember that was the date?
No, that's when I saw him. As far as I'm concerned, this is the same person that I saw earlier. You can't prove to me that it's not.
All right, and then in October, that's when it is revealed to you that she cheated.
Yeah, that she had been cheated in October.
You got found out she cheated with a haunted house. She was in the haunted house cheating?
No, she was in the house that we were living in with them kids.
How?
Not even there.
Oh, so that makes it okay.
Mr. Street's evidence unfolds. Further information come to light, and Miss Johnson replies with her own reasons.
He decided that he was going to take his name off the water bill and go freelance to do whatever it is he wanted to do.
Wait, what's freelance mean?
He made beats, or he would help record songs with other people without a fee.
Oh, I thought you meant he was freelancing with other women.
I mean, his ex, of course. Like, he would leave my house just to see his ex and their child. And they would spend time together. They had pictures all on Facebook. It's like, wow, you didn't tell me any of this. I didn't know none of this.
And as bad as that is, that didn't land us here in paternity court.
No, it didn't.
From what the exhibit says, the haunted house did.
Miss Johnson reveals certain details about Mr. Stray, implying that adultery was a concern for both sides.
Johnson, I want to hear what your side of the story is.
First of all, the calendar's not even right. We moved in together in March. So I'll say in July, that's when I got pregnant. And this right here, all this happened in October.
So you saying he got the dates all mixed up?
He does.
And when he saw you with the other man driving around, you were already pregnant?
Yes, I was.
Were you sleeping with the other man?
I met this guy in October at the haunted house. I would say 2 weeks after being there, of getting the haunted house set up and getting ready to bring customers in, because it was like from the 15th to the 31st.
You met him in October, but y'all were already hanging out 2 months before.
No, we weren't.
So no.
That's where you're delusional.
Yes or no?
I wasn't even with anybody.
Who you driving my uncle's house with? Who was
that was
in the car?
The guy in October. That's the same guy. No, they're not.
The court raises a critical question to Mr. Stray, who then elaborates on his reasons for skepticism.
At what point do you get so uncomfortable that you backpedal out of there and that you decide that this baby, Ziandre, is not yours?
Because when you sit there and you put your responsibilities on me, after I take them on, yeah, but you don't never put your responsibilities on another person and make them feel bad when they're not doing as much as you should be doing in the first place.
Why do you then doubt the child? It's not about responsibility. It has to be based in you feel like she was sleeping with this guy. That's what you feel like?
Your Honor, the reason why she said she did it was because I wasn't there.
After reviewing all witnesses and evidence, Judge Lake is prepared to disclose the DNA test findings.
In the case of Streety versus Johnson, when it comes to 13 4-month-old Zeandre Streety. It has been determined by this court. Mr. Streety, you are the father.
I told you.
How do you feel now, Mr. Streety, now that you know for certain?
That just shows right there that she did have somewhat of some kind of respect for me.
I believe you doubt it. You know, some men come in here, I feel like they ain't got doubt, they just don't want the responsibility.
Thank you for watching. Let us know what was your favorite one in the comments. Subscribe and see you all in the next one.
What you cheering? I'm a single mother with nobody that loves me or my child. What you cheering for?
I'm nice.
No, you were. He is over here breaking down because he loves this child so much. So she hid that she had a husband before she met you, and you were engaged to her when she really already had a husband. She hid that she had a child, and she also hid a man in her mother's house when you came over.
In the case of Todd versus Foster, yeah, paternity court almost got canceled. And the reason for that will be revealed to you in a minute, but first, y'all should get ready to be shocked to the bone with Ms. Todd's diabolical behaviors while she was engaged to Mr. Foster.
Ms. Todd, you were suing your former fiance, Mr. Foster, to prove he fathered your 4-month-old daughter, Selena.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say he called off the wedding due to paternity doubts.
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh well, just as you heard it, Ms. Todd didn't seem satisfied with Mr. Foster's sexual prowess, so she felt the need to spread her wings and fly to a supposed friend who magically turned to her bed buddy. But y'all haven't even heard about Ms. Todd's messy affair. Let's see that.
So, Mr. Foster, you called off the wedding.
Yes.
Tell the court why.
Me and Miss Todd, we was engaged. The reason why I called it off was because it was one day, friend of hers, she wanted to go hang out, and Miss Todd told me that it was her friend.
If Mr. Foster was a close relative, you'd advise he do the same too. Coming back home the next day without any heads up after saying you want to go hang out with a friend is next level confidence for an engaged woman. Let's dig deeper to see if we can understand Ms. Todd.
I normally don't go through her phone at all, but her phone just kept on buzzing, and it was a text message, and the text message said, "It was good, I want some more."
I want some more, and Ms. Todd is smiling. Woo, she's got some nerves. That courtroom would have been all up in smoke if it were another man, but from the look of things, Mr. Foster is as calm as a sea at rest. Doesn't think violence is the answer. To be fair, violence really isn't the answer.
Miss Todd, is this true? You went out with a friend and stayed out all night?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, so did you sleep with him that night?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Todd really doesn't give a damn. That woman is right there spitting some really hurtful words, and she doesn't even seem remorseful about it a bit. Maybe she wasn't really into Mr. Foster because no one would treat a man they love or loved that way.
Well, let me help you get the details. Miss Todd.
Yes, Your Honor.
So you had sex with this gentleman again, not just this night, another night as well?
Yes.
Tell me.
He came and got me from the house.
Just when you thought you've heard and seen it all. That's Ms. Todd revealing it wasn't a one-time thing. Even Mr. Foster didn't know that. Mr. Foster's doubts about being the biological father of that baby girl can be justified right now. The affair went on multiple times, so that baby girl could have been produced from either of the men's sperm.
Mr. Foster, I want to understand from you. When you initially found out Miss Todd was pregnant, were you happy or not?
Actually, no. I told her that you need to go find your baby daddy because it's not me.
That man has every right to feel that way. Ms. Todd betrayed him. That's an unfair thing to do. Yeah, he could end up being the biological father, but it isn't far-fetched for him to think he's not. It's simple biology in case Ms. Todd isn't aware.
Cheated with this guy more than one time before you were engaged.
Yes.
So how'd you get to the point where you found out she cheated, but you still asked her to marry you?
No, we was already engaged first.
So who's lying? Ms. Todd or Mr. Foster? Wouldn't it be fair to believe Mr. Foster? Ms. Todd seems like she would say anything to not appear as the villain, but Mr. Foster, on the other hand, just wants to get it over with by knowing if he really birthed the baby.
You see the wedding cake right there? That's on her birthday.
Oh, and there's the ring.
August 8th.
So now, does that refresh your memory?
Yes, Your Honor.
Were you engaged when you had this man come pick you up?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Ms. Todd has proved to the court over and over again that she would keep lying. Ms. Todd wants to act all innocent when she in fact started the whole thing? Well, that's impossible in Judge Lake's courtroom, so let's get the result to put the case to rest.
Mr. Foster, you are her father.
Oh, I told you so. I told you was her father. I told him he was not there.
I told you. She looked just like you.
Ms. Walters isn't about to let Mr. Rogers go scot-free when he's supposed to be doing his duty by paying for 3-year-old Ryland's child support. These jokes write themselves, but let's see how this particular one came to be.
Ms. Walters, you claim the defendant was a childhood family friend who got you pregnant and now refuses to do anything for your 3-year-old son, Ryland.
Yes, Your Honor.
You've petitioned the court for a DNA test to prove that he is Ryland's father, so he will finally step up.
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, Mr. Rogers brought his mother to court. But to do what exactly? Further prove he's not the father of the baby? Or rather, she play an emotional motherhood card for Mr. Rogers to get the upper hand of the case? That doesn't happen in this courtroom. Only the DNA result proves anything.
How do you know he's the dad?
I slept with another man weeks prior to even conceiving my son, and we did use protection. And at the time I conceived my son, he was the only person that I was having sex with without using protection.
Okay, it's about family ties. Such a pity Ms. Walters wasn't at the stand with her mother like Mr. Rogers was. Anyway, let's take a second to consider. Ms. Walters revealed she had slept with another guy, but the time didn't tally with her conception date. It's starting to get tricky, but don't worry, we will get to the bottom of this.
When she found out she was pregnant, we was best friends. We had been friends growing up our whole lives. Like, we was together, all the time. Not in a relationship, but we was friends. She texted me one day, sent me a picture while I was at work, and it was a sticky note that says 6 weeks pregnant.
But you were sleeping with her during the window of conception? Now, let's be for real. These people need biology lessons. Everyone is still waiting on Mr. Rogers' mother's reason to be in the stand, but before that, let's further see what the supposed parents of Ryland have to say.
Her dad and I were best friends. We took family trips together. All that's been ruined since all this has happened.
So the truth is you all grew up like brother and sisters,
Yes,
cousins,
that was my home away from home.
Sorry to Ms. Walters that she had to go through it alone, but what was she thinking was going to happen when she had multiple sexual partners? Yeah, someone wouldn't be interested in catering for her needs. On the other hand, Mr. Rogers believes Ms. Walters was trying to force him to be a dad because of family ties. Nice.
I would have never allowed them to spend days and nights and all in my house because to me they were like brother and sister.
So you would let her spend the night because she's just like another child.
Oh, finally, Ms. Sanders, who happens to be Mr. Rogers' mom, is voicing her thoughts. These two families had a good run till their children messed it all up. But hey, why is Mr. Rogers talking like it didn't take two to tango? Mr. Rogers is there talking like Ms. Walters held him at gunpoint for whatever reason best known to him.
All right, I was not in the delivery room when he was born, so therefore my name is not on that birth certificate. I've had no DNA but DNA established the whole time he has been in this world. How am I on child support? I was out of town working.
Ms. Sanders seems to be really emotional because she saw these two individuals as siblings. In Ms. Sanders' words, they were like brother and sister. Little did she know that an activity that a brother and sister aren't meant to be having was what Ms. Walters and Mr. Rogers were having. Quite sad.
I know you didn't, or you would have been in court.
Well, 2 weeks later, I was on the way to the beach for my sister's birthday. Well, my buddy happened to be speeding. Cop pulls us over, gave my buddy a breathalyzer. He failed it, so he locks him up in the car.
Mr. Rogers didn't know better, and even his mama, who believes in him, didn't inform him that the legality of baby Ryland will still fall on his shoulders until the DNA proves otherwise. Oh, it gets worse if the supposed father misses the court date. Mr. Rogers found out about that the hard way.
And Ms. Rogers, you are Ms. Walters' best friend.
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you known one another?
22 years.
Last name Rogers?
Yes.
Sounds familiar.
Yes, ma'am, that's my sister.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
Safe to say, Ms. Walters needs the DNA result clarity really quickly than any other person in the room. Even her best friend, who is Mr. Rogers' sister, also believes Ryland's biological father isn't in the room with them. Judge Lake can call Jerome now to check the content of the envelope.
Mr. Rogers, you are his father.
I'm sorry.
Both of you all burst into tears in that moment. What do you feel?
Your Honor, I grew up without a father.
Mr. Hodges doesn't believe he's the biological father of Ms. Willard's 1-month-old daughter, but Ms. Willard believes otherwise. You may want to grab a seat for this case because there are a lot of things to unravel, and those things are in fact not the best things anyone would wish for.
Mr. Hodges, you and your mom opened your case today because you both say the defendant is a liar and a cheater. You don't believe you fathered her 1-month-old daughter, Lillian Willard, and plan to prove that today. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Hodges believes Ms. Willard is trying to force the paternity of the child on him, and he won't agree to that, except a DNA test proves he's the biological father. But wait, why are these two in court with their mothers? Probably there's supposed to be a part where their mothers settle their differences physically when the judge leaves.
Explain to me why you think Ms. Willard is a liar and a cheater.
She cheated on me, and I caught her with multiple guys. She had one hidden in the room, and whenever we first got together, she said that she would never hurt me or cheat on me.
To be a liar is one thing, but also a cheater? To top it all off, Ms. Willard was caught with multiple men, so it makes sense that Mr. Hodges doesn't believe the 1-month baby belongs to him. We still need to be sure about that, but let's dig deeper.
You kept lying and you kept cheating?
No, I did not. I had a guy over at my house, yes. He was visiting because he was a childhood friend, and I didn't tell him because I knew he'd flip out.
Ms. Willard, any man would flip if he hears it. That is undebatable. And if there was nothing to hide, there wasn't a reason to act suspicious to the point of getting caught. And Mr. Hodges already revealed how there were multiple partners involved.
Where did you meet?
I met him through a family member of his.
She had one night stand with him, and I was there to comfort her, and we talked for a week or so. And
oh, you met her after she had a one-night stand with another guy.
Oh well, the relationship came to life after Mr. Hodges played the role of a decent man, but man, oh man. Maybe these two are just playing with the feelings of the people around them. It seems like they know what they are doing.
I knew that she had been cheating on him. He had caught her with another guy that she said was a friend, but yet he was hidden in her house when my son got there.
You found him hiding in the house?
Yes, Your Honor.
Hiding in the house where?
In her mother's bedroom.
That's a lot to take in. However, we get to know the reason both of their mothers are in court with them. Mr. Hodges' mother wants to know if she's a grandmother, while Ms. Williard's mother wants to clear things up after doing the job of hiding someone. But the engagement?
You're engaged, Ms. Willard.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
So now that makes more sense. When your fiance came in the house, then you hid this other guy in the...
Because I didn't want to fight to start. And Your Honor, she was already married when they got engaged that my son didn't know about.
Being married and engaged to different guys at the same time is just nasty work. Ms. Willard is in the cubicle in the red dress, showing off how much of a red flag she is. Something is not adding up in all of these stories.
Your only child?
No, Your Honor. She hid that from us too, at first.
Back it up. So she hid that she had a husband before she met you, and you were engaged to her when she really already had a husband.
Oh, there are more lies than we thought. How could Ms. Willard have hidden the fact that she was married and already a mother to her supposed potential husband? Mr. Hodges wouldn't know that and still go ahead to propose to her.
Ms. Hodges writes to Ms. Willard, "How's the baby doing?" Ms. Willard says she's okay, her lungs aren't fully developed right now. And then you write, "And when is she due?"
More lies is all we can get from Ms. Willard. It won't get any better, so our best option is to know if Mr. Hodges really fathered 1-month-old Lillian. The faster we get to that point, the better it is for everyone.
Mr. Hodges, you are the father. We have the answer we needed. And it was actually the answer all of you wanted. You okay, honey?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Mr. Simpson would rather believe the dead Albert Einstein came back to life than believe he is Ms. Davis's 2-year-old daughter's biological father. So now this case needs some type of special attention and investigation. Will Elizabeth be Mr. Simpson's biological father or not? Let's uncover some details.
Ms. Davis, you say that after a rocky marriage and nearly 15 years separation, you reconnected with your ex-husband 3 years ago. You say Mr. Simpson is now denying he is your 2-year-old daughter Elizabeth's father.
So they were married for over a decade before reuniting and possibly having a child? Okay, so there's the questions of why Mr. Simpson would have something to do with Ms. Davis again, after knowing she's allegedly a cheat who would never change her ways? That's fishy.
Davis, what do you have to say about Mr. Simpson's assertion that you are incapable of being faithful?
Your Honor, I think it's ludicrous. He's being an idiot. I know that she is his.
Oops! Ms. Davis says her ex-husband and supposed biological father of Elizabeth is an idiot. It seems she knows what she's talking about, that he's actually the father. But let's hear from the other party to understand this messy reunion.
I've known 11 times that she's cheated in a previous relationship.
11 times?
Yes, ma'am. And
she's cheated in your previous relationship?
Previous relationships, yes.
11?
Yes. And that's just
What
what it was
happened?
counted.
11 times? Oh, Judge Lake isn't the only shocked person here. Mr. Simpson should have lost count at some point. Maybe that divorce they had came in handy. But who will side with Mr. Simpson as he went back to the woman that did him dirty 11 times? That's messed up.
So, Miss Davis, have you been that busy? Did you cheat on your husband 11 times?
No, I did not. But yes, I did cheat on him. We were married when I was 16 years old. I was just a kid.
Okay. From Ms. Davis' explanation, she was just a minor when she was shipped off to Mr. Simpson's house to handle the roles of a wife. So, maybe Mr. Simpson is the one to be blamed here. Why was he interested in getting married to a 16-year-old girl? However, Ms. Davis said something about being honest with him. This keeps getting weird.
What made you take your wife back after she cheated on you 11 times? Did you feel like she had changed?
Yes, she had kids with other guys after we'd separated.
Exactly, Judge Lake. If you knew she was a chronic cheat, why accept her back? What's the talk about motherhood maturing her when she was married as a teenager? That woman would possibly want to keep trying to live her teenage years for a very long time, Mr. Simpson.
And reconnect,
Yes, ma'am.
and you all started to have a sexual relationship again.
Well, yes, technically, yes. In the first week,
Technically.
the first week we were together, Your Honor, I had problems. I just came out of a relationship. I have my own kids. I've got custody of all my kids.
Mr. Simpson's reproductive system wouldn't rise to the occasion of being active for the conception of Ms. Davis' daughter. But Ms. Davis wants Mr. Simpson to rise to the occasion of being the girl's father? Now that's a twist right there, but the story goes on.
Mr. Simpson, what happened?
He was happy. He didn't seem to have any problems.
So you told him in person, you called him on the phone. Take me back to that
I told
day.
him in person, and he seemed happy, seemed fine with everything.
Ms. Davis is saying she didn't cheat on Mr. Simpson when they got back together. But Mr. Simpson has his doubts because sometimes history can repeat themselves. Mr. Simpson believes the possibility of his ex-wife cheating on him again outweighs whether he truly impregnated her or not.
3 hours. He's gonna think something's going on either way. I mean, are you trying to build the trust or tear it down?
No, I get where he's coming from, but at the same time, he's the one that's leaving and going and staying with his ex.
Oh, wow. Mr. Simpson was still caught up on his ex? And Ms. Davis was technically married? Okay, this is way past what the judge can settle by hearing both sides. Let's just get it over with by listening to the 4 or 5 words.
Mr. Simpson, you are the father.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry.
Mr. White and Mrs. White being in paternity court while still together may be considered a joke, but there's nothing wrong with Mr. White wanting to be sure about one of his kids' paternity. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right, you've opened your case because your last and only way to save your marriage and family is to prove to your husband that he fathered your 3-year-old daughter, Savannah.
Okay, Mr. White's reason for a paternity test has been established. Court documents say the wife cheated on her husband, and now he can't blindly believe he's the biological father of one of the kids. Ding dong, time for the judge to do her thing.
It's been rough and emotional because when it first all come about to where I had the suspicions, it was she was having an ex-boyfriend come over while I was at work because I had neighbors tell me he was coming over, and then I started.
Mr. White seems to have a point to go ahead with a divorce aside from trying to find out about the paternity of the child. It's wild enough that Mrs. White was cheating in the marriage, but she already started a week after their wedding? We need to hear what her reason for hurting Mr. White is.
Have you been cheating?
Yes, but I have abandonment issues because I was adopted. So if he's not showing me the love and affection that I need, and I'm not trying to make excuses for myself because I admit what I've done is wrong.
This one right here is laughable. Cheating multiple times because of adoption and abandonment issues? Girl, there are about 10 other things an individual with that exact situation can do, but cheating shouldn't be one of them. There wasn't care and attention, and she agreed to marry him? Okay.
So you got married young.
Yeah.
And did you start cheating? Mr. White, when did you find this out?
I didn't find out for sure until she admittedly told me when Savannah was 6 months old that there was a 50-50 chance that Savannah wasn't mine.
Seemed Mr. White baited his wife into saying the truth. The truth is supposed to set you free, but the opposite of that is happening in the White's family. So here we are in paternity court, trying to find out if the innocent child truly belongs to Mr. White or the other guy Mrs. White has been cheating with.
Do you have any other reason to believe that your wife cheated other times?
I have text messages proof right here of the most recent is Valentine's Day. She went to another man's house while I'm sitting at the house with the kids.
Well, that's because you didn't even get me anything, and you were just yelling at me.
Mrs. White doesn't seem like a woman ready to change her ways. She still cheated on Valentine's Day? Yeah, maybe not getting his wife anything isn't cool, but cheating this religiously doesn't look like something Mrs. White just planned on Valentine's Day.
Oh, this is another guy. This is not the ex-boyfriend's name. He says, laying here horny, and you say, Miss White, I know me too. And then you forgot the other O on two. That's okay.
After Mrs. White's side piece takes those grammar lessons, Mrs. White herself needs moral and ethics lessons. Mrs. White needs those lessons before her baby girl will start growing up and needing advices from their mother.
Miss White, why are you entertaining all these men on text?
Because he doesn't show me anything.
Always with the
He's not there for me.
Always pivoting, you're trying to put it off on me.
No one knows exactly the reason she keeps entertaining those men Judge Lake, because abandonment really can't be the cause of all of these. Mr. White gave a clear insight on Mrs. White's strategy. She just doesn't want to get thrown out, and that's a plausible reason. She clearly doesn't love that man.
Hey, please tell me that this is the only evidence you have. You just have these text messages?
I have pictures of her sexting people.
Pictures? I'm afraid to look, Jerome. So this says Happy Valentine's Day.
This just further proves that Mrs. White doesn't love or care about Mr. White's feelings. It's hard to work this one out, but we still need to know who the father of the child is, and that's exactly why we are here.
Mr. White, you are her father. How do you feel?
I feel happy.
Ms. Miller wants Mr. Rasmussen to move on as she wants him to stop having hope that 3-year-old Zaylee belongs to him.
You're here to prove to your ex-boyfriend, Scotty Rasmussen, that he is not the father of your 3-year-old daughter, Zaylee Rasmussen.
Yes, Your Honor.
While other mothers in paternity court are trying to prove that the baby belongs to the man in the stand, Ms. Miller wants to prove to Mr. Rasmussen that he's in fact not the biological father of Zaylee Rasmussen. Mr. Rasmussen says she's only saying that because she hates him. So let's see.
Why is Ms. Miller saying you're not Zaylee's father?
Your Honor, I believe it's just out of pure hatred. She just doesn't want me to have visitation. I drive 160 miles every other weekend just to pick up my daughter and drop her off.
So Mr. Rasmussen, us being upfront and stepping up, that he did contribute to Ms. Miller's hatred for him. Having another woman while in a relationship is grounds for hatred from the woman invested in the relationship. But we need to know more.
Yes, I was very mad at him for being a cheater. He cheated on me through pretty much our whole relationship. No, I do not hate him because of that. I lost my respect for him, yes.
He says this is about visitation, too. He loves his daughter, but you don't want him to have the visitation. Is that true?
Yes, Your Honor.
More cheating than Mr. Rasmussen had admitted. Interestingly, Ms. Miller doesn't hate him for that. She wants to deny him access to Zaylee for another reason, and that's Mr. Rasmussen claiming their supposed daughter on his tax documents.
I'm paying my child support. I have my child support payments right here, plus an additional $3 fee, plus an additional $60 annual fee just to pay my child support.
You pay $50 a week.
Just under $50 a week.
Seems Ms. Miller has some pent-up anger towards Mr. Rasmussen. She's not ready to talk about just yet. That man is paying the bills and doing all he can to see his daughter. But Ms. Miller doesn't care. She wants him to be out of Zaylee's life.
I don't believe he's her biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
So explain to me why.
When she was conceived in March of 2011. He wasn't even in the same state. He was in Vegas.
Ms. Miller says her and Mr. Rasmussen neither had a physical contact or sexual relations at the time 3-year-old Zaylee was conceived. So here's the bummer. How did Mr. Rasmussen know she was pregnant and felt the need to think the pregnancy was his?
Clearly, at some point, Mr. Rasmussen either thought or was informed that he was her biological father because he is paying child support, he's still driving 160 miles each way, and she has his last name.
Maybe Ms. Miller hated seeing Mr. Rasmussen pose as Zaylee's father because he cheated on her. Yeah, no doubt. That must have hurt, but that doesn't give Ms. Miller the right to change her words and say Mr. Rasmussen isn't the father of the child if he actually is the father of the child.
When Zaylee was born, you were at a doctor's appointment. I was at home because I had to work that day. I was at my job as a cashier. I got a phone call and I answered it. They said she was going into labor. I said okay.
It's obvious enough that Mr. Rasmussen would do anything for Zaylee, from the moment she was in the womb till the time she was born, and even trying to make sure she's living an angelic life as a child. That man would go through the heavens and the earth to make sure his baby girl is safe.
Until about 3 months after she was born, one of his friends told me everything that he was doing throughout our entire relationship, cheating on me, going to multiple places to meet multiple girls.
Now that's a better and clearer point to understand Ms. Miller's pent-up anger and hatred towards Mr. Rasmussen, and most importantly, the reason she doesn't want him to be Zaylee's father anymore. But it doesn't work that way, Ms. Miller. Only the DNA result can prove if he is the father of the baby or not.
Mr. Rasmussen, you are not the father. Miss Miller.
Be respectful.
I'm sorry.
Miss Miller.
I'm sorry.
That's a lot of nerve considering the alternative is somebody that don't want nothing to do with you or your child. What kind of relationship were you all in now?
It's supposed to be in the one
You
night
said
stand, Your Honor.
something to do.
Something to do, like just a flame.
Okay, it started off as just a casual fling.
Yes.
Do you remember the day she told you she was pregnant? Oh, I think this is it. I think I'm gonna have him. What do you do from that point? Get in a car?
Right.
Get in a taxi?
Car.
So then at that point, why wasn't he called?
This man called me and said, you can't even see. You sing
She got
so
mad
that.
about that, too.
Long as I sure did get mad. He told me I couldn't sing and I'm just trying to sing for the God.
Wow, this never ends.
Mr. Burridge felt he was being played for a fool by the woman he loved. He dragged Ms. Stephanies to court to take his name out of the birth certificate because he was very certain he wasn't and couldn't be the father of her child. Ms. Stephanies was tired of all the embarrassment Mr. Burridge was dropping on her table. All she wanted to do was prove the child was his.
Mr. Barrage, you've dragged Ms. Stephens to court because you say you're being played for a fool. And when today's DNA results prove that you are not her daughter, Phelan's father, you demand that your name be removed from her birth certificate and you be reimbursed for the past 8 months of child care expenses. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Mr. Burridge started his story by letting the judge know he never had his father sign his birth certificate, and all he wanted to do was be a good guy to Ms. Stephanies' baby. Even though he had his doubts, he still went on to put his signature on the birth certificate.
I want to be a good guy and do the right thing by signing the birth certificate because on my birth certificate, my father didn't sign my name.
At the point that you signed the birth certificate, did you have doubt?
Yes, Your Honor.
But you did it anyway?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand by doing so that you would now be the legal father of this child?
Yes, Your Honor.
And that's the way the court would acknowledge you.
Yes,
You
Your Honor.
are the father.
Yes, Your Honor.
But you don't believe you're the biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
As you would expect, Mr. Burridge and Ms. Stephanies got into an argument about how they didn't trust each other. Ms. Stephanies couldn't understand why a man she knew was there throughout the pregnancy process was starting to deny her baby. I mean, it's not like she forced him to sign the birth certificate. He did it on his own.
You was there, you signed the birth certificate, cut the umbilical cord. I didn't force you to do anything. You chose to do that willingly because you felt, obviously, that she was your child.
That because I was having unprotected sex with you, and it's a slight possibility that the child might have been mine, but, I was with my girl for 2 years. And I just feel like, you was sleeping with this guy would make you think he wasn't a father. You was having unprotected with him.
So wait, let me understand this. What kind of relationship were you all in now?
It's supposed to be in the one
You
night
said
stand, Your Honor.
something to do.
The judge had to cut into their pointless argument and try to understand what kind of relationship they had. For Ms. Stephanies, she felt she was in a really committed relationship with him. But that wasn't the case for Mr. Burridge. He felt it was just a fling and claimed he already had a girlfriend.
Fernando, we was together all the time. It wasn't no one night stand. We was together consistently every day. My mom was there with my kids.
All the time.
Did you think you all were in a relationship?
I didn't think we were in a relationship, but I thought it was more because I knew that my intentions was to make it more than what it was.
But you knew I had another girl, and you also said this to me, pillow talking, like you gonna try to take me away from my girl. You know what I'm saying? Trying to set me up, trying to trap me.
Mr. Burridge didn't waste any time bringing out the cards where he claimed Ms. Stephanies was messing with other guys he didn't know of. He claimed he would constantly see multiple guys in his neighborhood bragging about how they kicked it in bed with Ms. Stephanie's, and he just couldn't believe the child was his.
Yes, Your Honor, because I didn't know how many guys she slept with. You know, guys coming out the blue in the neighborhood while I stay, just come out the blue. I hit that, 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 I hit that.
He can't keep going off what other people say, and he's going off what other people saying. Ask him, does he know anything that's for sure, not what people are saying.
Mr. Barrage, what do you know for sure? Do you have any proof of this?
You could tell Mr. Burridge wanted nothing to do with her baby. He wasn't only accusing her of being with several other men, apparently. He had proof to back up his accusations. But when he stood up to show the judge his proof, they were nothing of value. Trust me.
The other guy has light eyes.
Yes, Your Honor. And for one, Your Honor,
Me and my
I'm
mom
brown
both
skinned, Your
have
Honor.
light brown eyes.
Hey, the guy got light-skinned complexion, Your Honor.
So these are all the factors you believe that add up so that you're not Phelan's father.
Yes, Your Honor. And, Your Honor, people say the baby looked just like him, Your Honor.
People say, you see, he keep bringing
What
up
have people told you?
Everything was going really well for them when the baby was initially born. Ms. Stephanie's could definitely remember the good times. But that changed when they got into a heated argument in front of Ms. Stephanie's family. He felt disrespected, and from that day on, he refused to take care of the child till he got a DNA test done.
All is a joy. We go to my mom's house, we're celebrating. So we're drinking. Me and Mr. Barrage ended up getting into an argument. I seen some text messages in his phone from another female, so I confronted him on that. He got this big thing. I guess he thought I tried to front in front of my family. So he just went off, said, oh, from day one, she's not my baby and I want a DNA test.
Well, all eyes were now looking at Mr. Burridge. Ms. Stephanie's dropped a truth bomb that shocked even the judge. She said, aside from the baby in question, she was also 5 months pregnant with another baby that belonged to Mr. Burridge. Oh, trust me, the case took a different turn.
I had a bad past. I didn't have several women, before her, and she didn't have several men. And I didn't try to judge that against her, but I'm steady hearing. And it just put back in my head.
It's a bag up what he said. My mother or my biological mother or father didn't raise me. I was a foster child. My biological mom wasn't in my life, nor my father. I didn't meet him till I was 12.
Ms. Stephanie's sister also claimed that she was positive. The baby belonged to Mr. Burridge. She said she knew her sister like the back of her hand, and if she had been messing with someone else, she would definitely know, but that wasn't the case.
You wasn't up in the room sleeping with us.
I'll be my sister every day. I know my sister like the back of my own hand. If she was messing with anyone, she'd confide in me. I feel that Fernando is insecure with himself. He listens to what everybody telling him. The guys know that he's insecure with himself because he's not attractive. So they get in his head and say, oh, the baby look just like me. The baby looks just like me.
The moment of truth was finally here. It's time to see what the future holds for them. Would Mr. Burridge end up being the father, or has Ms. Stephanie's been lying all this while? Well, let's find out.
Mr. Barrage, you are her father.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I tell him all the time, misery loves company. Of course, don't nobody want to see you happy.
There was so much at stake in this case, believe me. As he claimed, Mr. Horn had a wild weekend a couple of decades ago, but now finds himself denying a son that resulted from his adventurous weekend with Ms. Mannion. Ms. Mannion wasn't denying that she also remembers the wild weekend, but she is beyond certain the child belongs to Mr. Horn.
Mr. Horn, you had a wild weekend 3 decades ago and now find yourself in court to prove that you are not the biological father of Ms. Mannion's 29-year-old son, Andrew. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You will meet him for the very first time in a moment, but say today's DNA test will prove you are not his dad.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, 5 years ago, Mr. Horn was at work when he received one of the most shocking phone calls from a family member of his. The person asked him if he remembered Ms. Mannion's name, but he said he was pretty young at the time and his lifestyle was nothing to write home about, so remembering her name was nearly impossible.
I was at work. I got a phone call from a family member who never calls me at work. Asked me if I remembered a certain name, which was her name, and I was like, you know how I was back then. I really don't have a clue who you're talking about. And so she mentioned a couple other names, and that kind of rung a bell, and told me that she got a phone call from Mr. Haight saying that I might be his father.
Well, after getting the shocking news that he might have a son, he picked up his phone and told her son that his mother had been with several men and there was no way he could be his father. Well, Ms. Mannion dropped her own truth bomb, and trust me, it was heavy.
He is the father because I was in another relationship and a paternity test did come out that the other guy was not the father. And there's only 2 people that I was with during that time.
So there were 2 people you were with, and you said you had a DNA test on the other one, and so you feel like it has to be Mr. Horn from this point.
Judge Lauren didn't have the time to listen to their rants. Now she wanted to know what kind of relationship they had and how they got themselves into such a messy situation with a child not knowing his father. Well, the story begins.
He showed up. I didn't really have a clue who she was. We started chatting. She kept coming on to me.
That
I
is
found
a lie.
out she was a friend of mine's, girlfriend or dating. They were dating or whatever. He was in California. So she kept coming on to me. The more we drank, I drank quite a bit. Passed out. I woke up to the best alarm clock ever.
Oh, no, 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 no. I do not do that kind of stuff.
That was beyond shocking to hear. Mr. Horn was then asked if he ever got to know that Ms. Mannion was ever pregnant. He claimed that information was only made available to him after she had given birth to her son, but they never had a romantic relationship.
I found out that she was pregnant after she had the child. I ran into the dude that she was dating at the time. He said he took a DNA test, but he never seen the results, so therefore he could not be the father. I call it like I see it, she's a hoe.
Okay.
So there's no way I could be the dad.
Okay.
We got to come up with a new word. Just work with me here.
All right.
But there was a plot twist here. Ms. Mannion claimed that when she initially gave birth, she didn't think Mr. Horn was the father. She had a DNA test done on the man she believed was the father, but she never saw the results. So how does she know that guy isn't the father? I'm speechless.
You thought someone else was the father. You had him take a DNA test, but you never saw the results. Did you ever see Mr. Horn after that, Miss Mannion?
No, I had no way to get a hold of him. All I know is my mother told me that he contacted them and even left his name, his phone number for when my child gets older to contact them.
Guess what? Ms. Mannion's son was in the courtroom. As you would expect, Judge Lauren asked him to come in, as she intended to find the truth and try to figure out who was lying in her courtroom. Oh, trust me, a lot of lies were told.
Mother and father, so you called them mom and dad.
Correct.
Then, when you went to live with your mother, she was married, and so then you thought your stepdad was your dad.
Correct.
And then when they broke up, that's when you realized he was not your father either.
That is correct.
What did your mother tell you at that point?
I asked her who he was, and she gave me the name Kevin Horn the very first time.
The first time you asked?
The first time I asked.
And she had absolutely no doubt in her mind.
Well, the tables were turning, and it was starting to look like Ms. Mannion had been the one lying in the courtroom after all. She never told her son that there was a possibility that another man could be his father. He didn't even get to see his birth certificate until he was 18 years of age.
When I went to get a birth certificate for an ID, it was the first time I found out that.
You saw your birth certificate for the first time, how old?
17, 18.
So when you went to get your ID was the first time you ever seen your birth certificate?
Correct.
And when you looked at the name of the father listed on there,
It
you didn't know
wasn't Kevin Horn.
It wasn't Kevin Horn. Did you ask your mother?
I did.
You could see in her son's eyes that he was tired of not knowing the identity of his biological father. All he was hoping and praying for in that courtroom was that Mr. Horn turned out to be his real father, and his search had finally come to an end.
Any proof?
Yeah, you're right.
So then that leaves him in a position where he can't fully accept that truth. Even if it is true, he can't fully accept it because he can't see the paperwork.
I understand.
Okay. Mr. Haight, what are you hoping for today?
I'm hoping that I actually have found my father.
So since you were 12 years old, you've been carrying the name Kevin Horn in the back of your mind.
Correct.
Well, it's time we brought the cartoons down on this plot twist, wouldn't you say? It was time to find out the truth and know if the craziness was all worth it. The moment of truth is here, people. Brace yourselves for the results.
Mr. Horn, you are his father.
I told you. I told you.
We got this done, right?
Yeah.
Ms. McIntyre and her mother were absolutely certain that Mr. Wilson was her baby's biological father. She claimed the only reason he wasn't accepting the baby was because he wanted to live a single life. But Mr. Wilson had more than enough proof to make him certain he couldn't be the father.
Ms. McIntyre, you and your mother stand before me claiming that you are 100% certain that Mr. Wilson is your 3-year-old son, Jashawn's biological father. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
You say the only reason he has doubt is because he wants to live the single life.
Yes. Absolutely.
All right, Mr. Wilson, you say you have more evidence than this court has ever seen before.
Their relationship started on Facebook, and Ms. McIntyre was already in love with this young man. In no time, their conversation got pretty intense, and Mr. Wilson was already telling her he would give her the world. Well, that never really happens now, does it?
Talking on Facebook, he shared a couple of pictures with me. He shared a picture like this. I thought he was very cute. He said he was gonna take care of me and my daughter.
On Facebook, he was already gonna take care of you and your daughter?
Yeah, he sold me a dream.
You had never met?
No, we never met before.
Okay.
So we finally wanted to meet up, and when he got out the bus, I seen this. He catfished me. I didn't know, I didn't expect this.
As I said, it was all too good to be true. After having their cute conversations on Facebook, it was finally time for them to meet in person. When they finally did, Ms. McIntyre couldn't believe what she saw. She claimed she had been catfished.
I'm like, what happened? Like, I wanted to see this, but I got this.
Is it a totally different picture, or is it just good angles?
It's good angles.
What can I show
or
it to you?
something, I don't know.
Did you try to catfish her, Mr. Wilson?
No, lies, all the way around. I'm sexy, why I need to catfish somebody?
Right.
Is you serious? Okay, lies.
Really?
Really. You saw what you saw.
Mr. Wilson was being completely honest in the courtroom. Well, at least so he claimed. He said he wasn't in the courtroom to deny the child and say he wasn't the father, but he just had doubts and he needed to be sure he wasn't taking someone else's child, which, if you ask me, makes a lot of sense. But where are these doubts coming from?
To say I'm denying my kid, but at the same time too, Miss McIntyre, yeah, kind of ratchet at the same time.
When you say kind of ratchet, are you indicating or inferring that she sleeps around?
Yes, Your Honor.
I don't believe that he's saying that. This guy is full of it.
So, Miss McIntyre, how certain are you that Mr. Wilson is Jay-Sean's father?
100% sure.
Jumping right in after Ms. McIntyre gave birth, she had her baby quite well, and all right, but the question now was, did she tell Mr. Wilson she had a baby? She claimed she did, but Mr. Wilson slammed back at her and said she never reached out to him at all.
Did you tell Mr. Wilson?
Nope. Nope, not until after the fact. They claim that they didn't have no way.
Are you serious?
They claimed they didn't have no way of getting in contact with me. They called me after the fact he was conceived. I wasn't at the hospital.
No, he was not
none
at
of
the
that.
hospital because
none of that, because they didn't want me to be there.
He didn't have.
Period.
Why wouldn't we want him to be there?
Period, because she don't like me, just like I don't like her.
He didn't have a
So
ride.
she
That
don't
was
meet
his
up.
excuse.
Well, it was from argument to the next with Ms. McIntyre, her mom, and Mr. Wilson wanting to rip out their throats. Mr. Wilson's name was never put on the child's birth certificate because he never made it to the hospital, but since the baby came into the world, he hasn't done a single thing.
Hasn't done anything for him?
Not to my knowledge.
And believe it or not, if this baby not mine, I'm not gonna.
But
do
it
nothing.
is yours.
I'm not.
But it is yours.
You haven't did anything.
I got a 1-year-old daughter. I take care of faithfully.
You never
That's the
did
thing.
anything anyway.
It is yours.
So I want to understand your doubt, Mr. Wilson. I want to understand. Why do you doubt Jay-Sean is your biological son?
He was ready to spill everything he believed to be true. Mr. Wilson claimed that the proof that made him feel the baby wasn't his was the fact that he kept getting texts from people he knew, saying that Ms. McIntyre had been sleeping with several other men.
Okay, supposedly, I got texts that somebody that I personally knew face-to-face was messing around with Miss McIntyre around the same time I was messing around with Miss McIntyre.
So do you have that proof here?
Okay, then, hold on, not
Do you
only
have that proof here? No.
Not only that, though. My thing is this, not only that, I have called Miss McIntyre in her phone
Where's the text?
a couple of times.
Well, he did let the cat out of the box, and he sure didn't feel bad for it. He claimed after he found out Ms. McIntyre had been cheating on him, he went on what I would like to call a cheating spree. Oh, he was sleeping with everybody and anybody he could find.
So yeah, I was hurt. So I went out there, I was super cheating. You know what I'm saying? I served.
Yeah,
super
when you come back,
I was super cheating.
With every transies, right?
I was
That day when I was
super
asleep,
cheating.
when I was
You feel me?
You come back with two transies, right?
Super sleep. I was cheating
Yeah,
with
you can't
everybody
get that.
and anybody. To be honest with you, I'm gonna be real with you. Because at the point, I'm like, all right,
You
this
cheat on me with who,
relationship ain't not going
Because, because super cheating.
Well, the suspense is finally over, and the hassle of who the dad of their child is about to be revealed. It's been a bumpy and funny ride with Mr. Wilson and Ms. McIntyre. All eyes are on the judge as she unleashes the truth. Get ready, paternity folks.
You are his father.
Told you. Told
That's all
you.
I needed to know.
So you ought to be ashamed.
That's all I needed to know.
You ought to be ashamed.
I needed to know that. That's my
Mr.
thing.
Charisma.
I needed to know that.
Hold on. We starting off wrong. You got the clarity you needed, and Miss McIntyre and Mom, you
right,
said
John.
you wanted your son to know his father?
He certainly looked angry and was not in that courtroom to joke around. Mr. Burks was in court to prove to everyone that the daughter he raised for 30 years was no longer his child. As if that wasn't crazy enough, he wanted to collect more than $26,000 of the money he paid as child support all the years of Ms. Brown's life.
Claimed to be more than $26,000 in debt due to child support for the defendant, Ms. Brown, who you say is definitely not your biological daughter. You are here to prove that in court so you can return home and get the debt erased from your record. Ms. Brown, you state that for 30 years you've known only one man to be your father, and you are devastated that he is now claiming you are not his biological daughter.
Ms. Brown was beyond hurt and disappointed by her father. I mean, who wouldn't be? A man who raised you all your life wakes up one morning and says he is no longer your father. The big question then stands. What changed that made Mr. Burks deny being her biological father all of a sudden?
30 years old. 30 years old. And I have to deal with this, you know, and then he brings up talking about it was a one-night stand with my mom and all that kind of stuff like that. It wasn't no one-night stand. He had a relationship with her and he know it. You know it. It hurts me so much and I have a lot of pain. You know, it's ridiculous to me. I'm just hurt. I'm just hurt inside. I really am.
All your life, you've known him to be your father.
Mr. Burks gets down to how he met Ms. Brown's mom and how he was trying to protect his military career. Oh, and by the way, he was married when he had the affair. In his defense, his career and marriage meant a lot to him, and he wasn't ready to destroy them.
You didn't. Okay. Y'all had a relationship. Yeah, they had a relationship.
I didn't have no relationship.
Yeah, you did. Yes, you did.
You wasn't there. How you know?
You wanted to
You
marry
wasn't
her
even there.
because she told me.
I know for a fact because
she's not gonna lie.
I dropped her off at the house and left.
Hold on, Miss Brown, let me hear what he's saying. And so, did you see her again?
Maybe.
Mr. Bucks was firm on his claim. All right, trust me. His name wasn't even on Ms. Brown's birth certificate to begin with. So how did he then become the father? Apparently, the affair he tried to hide from his wife resulted in a baby. Since he was not around, Ms. Brown's mother had a court case in which they pronounced Mr. Burks as the father.
There is an order establishing the parent-child relationship, and you are responsible for child support.
Yeah.
So, at some point, did you acknowledge paternity, or was there a court case that you didn't show up?
Exactly.
Okay.
That's what happened.
So you're named the father by default?
I was away. They had the court without me even being there. They had already been to court, determined I was behind a real rich of $40,000. I'm thinking, man, look at here. How am I going to pay $40,000 all these years?
His stories were starting to sound a little too different. After a while, first, he said he didn't want anybody to find out about the baby because he wanted to protect his family and military career. But again, he accepted the child and decided he was going to pay child support. Something just wasn't right with his story.
Because, you know, I wanted to keep it hush-hush. I wanted to deal with it myself. I wanted to make sure I went to her mother, I gave her money, I bought diapers and everything.
So basically, you didn't want the fact that you had cheated on your wife to come out?
Exactly, yeah.
Right, okay. But you never accepted deep down that she was your biological daughter.
Right.
Here's a news flash. Their relationship wasn't always this toxic, trust me. There were times when they bonded and things seemed to be pretty okay at the time. All that soon came to change when Mr. Burks found out Ms. Brown was attracted to the female gender. He couldn't stand the fact that she was a lesbian.
He lived his life as a pastor, all that stuff like that. He didn't like it. He talked bad to me. He was ugly on the phone. When he found that out, he was very disrespectful. And ever since that day, it's like we have a connection. Every time he get mad, something I tell him, he'll call me. He's a negative person. He expects me to call him and blow his phone up. I'm not gonna do that because every time I talk to him, it's always drama.
The big question in everyone's minds is very straightforward. Was he denying her because he wasn't her father? Or was he denying her because he did not approve of her attraction to women? It's been one hell of a battle with Mr. Burks and Ms. Brown. Let's see if they are related.
Mr. Burks, you are the father.
See, I told you, and you stay up there and do me like this. That what you gonna do? See, it's all about my life now.
You're not the first man, nor the last man or last parent to have a child. That's just a firecracker. There's something in the way you approach.
The most crazy lies on Paternity Court.
It's so many men going on, and who slept with who. I'm just trying to keep up.
I'm trying to understand everybody's
story.
Slow down so you can't keep up with me. I'm just trying to slow it down a little bit.
No. You need to slow yourself down.
Now I know you all don't have no sense. What you need to be talking about is that lie you told saying you weren't sleeping with nobody else.
A hilarious turn of events After failing a lie detector test and confessing to cheating by his girlfriend, Mr. Moody concludes that he might not be the proud papa of that 3-year-old bundle of joy. Surely this groundbreaking revelation will lead to a lifetime of trust and happiness. No.
When I first met Miss Vaughn, I asked her 3 questions. Do you want a relationship? Do you want to just have sex? Or you just want to be friends? What she told me was she wanted a relationship. So okay, that's what I gave her. I gave her the relationship. I started questioning her about it. Like, why you not coming to see me no more like you used to? When I leave to go, sometimes I leave to go to work at 12.
Now that's one enthusiastic fella, Mr. Moody. He mentions how her behavior changed and he constantly questioned her about her actions, including her hangout points when he was away. This culminated in Miss Vaughn admitting that their older son might not be his. Yeah, you heard that right. I sense a liar in the room.
You know I got to take the DNA test. I have to do that. So what I did, we got the money together and we went and took a DNA test. Come to find out the child was mine.
All right.
Which made me feel I felt good about that.
So you got that taken care of. The older child was yours, but you say the warning signs kept happening?
Oh my goodness.
Miss Vaughn admits to her infidelity during their relationship, but she's convinced that Mr. Moody is the biological father of Kadir. She acknowledges her mistakes and the fact that she was not ready for a relationship at the time due to her youth. Now, probably it's just a little too late for that.
In my mind and in my feelings, this is what I wanted. I wanted a family, but I didn't react it like that.
All right, so Ms. Vaughn, you admit there were other men you were having sex with during the time you were also having sex with Mr. Moody.
Yes, Your Honor.
And so much so that you had to admit the oldest son may not be his.
I did admit it, yes, Your Honor.
Now isn't that some Sherlock-level action? Mr. Moody reveals how Miss Vaughn's actions continued to raise doubts, such as finding grass in his car and the infamous hotel incident. He emphasizes his difficulty in trusting her, especially when she's away from home. What is this baby mama up to?
She told me that she did after the fact.
That doesn't mean I told you the truth, and I didn't think nothing was wrong with that.
After the fact,
I didn't think nothing was wrong with that.
After the fact? Oh, you want to tell me the truth after the fact? Oh, she do that a lot, too. She tell me the truth after the fact.
After the fact. So, Miss Vaughn, were you cheating then, too? You honest? You say you became a woman and you just started telling the truth.
At that time, Your Honor, no, I was not cheating.
The couple's rocky history is further complicated by a lie detector test that Miss Vaughn took, which she failed miserably. Mr. Moody is convinced that this reflects her unfaithfulness and lack of trustworthiness, leaving their relationship hanging by a thread.
I had to pay $400 for them lies. $400.
Woo!
She wants to get married, young. I told her, you take this lie detector test, and if you pass this lie detector test, I'll marry you that same day and get you a ring that following week.
All right.
If she failed that, sir, I wonder what you are doing here, Mr. Moody. Despite her past mistakes, Miss Vaughn pleads for understanding, asserting that she was changed and become a better person. Well, we'll find that out in a while. However, Mr. Moody still carries his doubts and fears affecting their relationship.
No matter if you slept with 50 men or had oral sex with 50 men, tell me not on everything I love, I would not go nowhere. I told her that from the point she got in the car to the point she got out of the car at where she was gonna take the test at, y'all. She takes the test. The man come out and call me, looked at me and be like, sir.
Okay, so after enough discussions and the baby mama finally admitting to all her little spin-offs, it was time for Judge Lake to see if the baby mama was indeed lying this time or not. So, here's the concealed envelope we've all been waiting for.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Moody, you are the father.
Hello. No, don't want mine.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yeah, it made me feel a whole lot better, Your Honor. Thank you.
I can see that.
Miss Mellerson, the distraught plaintiff, found herself in a complex paternity dispute involving not one, but two potential fathers, Mr. Williams and Mr. Merritt. With one baby at the center of this emotional tug of war, the courtroom was poised for a gripping paternity showdown.
I had met Mr. Williams in 2012, and from there it just began with our relationship.
Your Honor, it was never a relationship.
It was a sexual relationship.
We had sex twice, and we never.
Honor, he is lying because number one, Your Honor, this man right here, I don't know what he's trying to cover up.
It appears that if the baby's mother was involved with two men, the baby's father also had connections with two women. Loyalty seems to be a rare commodity in these situations. To add to the drama, Mr. Williams claimed that he was ghosted by the plaintiff, who had a history of frequently changing her phone number. Talk about some suspicion.
We need to get a test and everything. She said, okay, well, I'll let you know when I have my doctor's appointments. After she mentioned that to me, she didn't even have the same number. I never knew where she lived at.
I continuously
So how was
changed my
I, and
number.
she never called me either. When she called me.
Did you change your number after you told him you were pregnant?
I just changed my number again.
Now, here's where the real drama unfolds. Following the ever-changing phone numbers, the baby's mother alleged that she did pay a visit to Mr. Williams with pregnancy documents in hand. Isn't that what this whole paternity doubt revolves around?
I had gave him papers showing him that I was pregnant. When I went to his house, he had this stupid look on his face like, wait a minute, is she really pregnant? Even then, I'm like, if you slept with me, just take it as there is a possibility of you being my child's father.
Timing was indeed a significant factor in this story. Miss Mellerson's actions were anything but consistent, as she apparently waited a lengthy 5 to 6 months before informing Mr. Merritt about the situation. And yet again, the issue of frequently changing phone numbers reared its head. What was the deal with this constant number-changing game?
So 5 or 6 months pregnant, she showed up at the door?
Yeah, man. She said she erased my number.
Here we go with this phone again.
I did not have his number at the time.
But wasn't he your boyfriend?
We had broke up in September 2012. We stopped talking. I lost my license in like October-ish. I got my license back in April of 2012. And that's when I came to him and told him.
The drama was far from over. In fact, it was only heating up. It seemed that the baby's mother held all the cards and wasn't allowing anyone else to have their say. However, that kind of behavior didn't sit well in the courtroom, and the judge's patience was wearing thin.
You know what? It's not time for you to be adding in any other verbiage that's not needed. It's so many men going on and who slept with who. I'm just trying to keep up.
I'm
trying to understand everybody's
trying to
story.
slow down so you can't keep up with me. I'm just trying to slow it down a little bit.
No. You need to slow yourself down.
Next in line, the girlfriend stepped into the spotlight, armed with evidence of her communication with the baby's mother regarding the paternity matter. However, it became evident that the baby's mother had a serious penchant for dishonesty, as her words to the girlfriend did not align with the actual facts. Quite the revelation indeed.
Her first message was, "Do I know you?" And from that point, I let her know, you and I may know the same person, Stacey Williams, that you two may have a baby together, and I don't condone an absent parent. If you need help, I don't mind helping you. This is everything I said to her. But she made a statement that she had a DNA test done and her baby was light-skinned like the daddy.
Finally, we arrive at the pivotal moment of truth, a moment that was eagerly anticipated. The verdict was poised to resolve many pressing questions, with the primary one being whether the baby's mother was a crazy liar or if there was a kernel of truth in her claims. Let's dive in and find out.
You are not the father.
Well, I know who it is.
Miss Mellerson, you could have saved
I'm
us
100%.
all.
Yeah, I'm not coming up here trying to,
Basically what you're saying,
I did not
process
know.
of elimination, you really didn't know.
Right.
And now that these two are ruled out.
100%.
In the courtroom of paternity court, we meet Miss Lopez and Mr. Carbajal, who are embroiled in a paternity dispute. Go figure. Lopez accuses Carbajal of trying to deny paternity using a dubious DNA testing scam. Oh boy, where have we come to? In the opening statements, Miss Lopez explains her struggle as a single mother. Probably something that might make you want to cry.
You're having sex.
Yes, Your Honor.
Unprotected sex. How do we get to the point where you find out you're pregnant and there's a question regarding the paternity?
Your Honor, I found out I was pregnant. He did not have anything to say. We talked later, and he was still in shock, telling me that he didn't want to have a baby with someone he did not love.
All right, I think I might be getting to understand this. But hey, the dispute started when Miss Lopez became pregnant. Mr. Carbajal seemed unenthusiastic and claimed he didn't want a child with someone he didn't love. What logic is that? Suspicion arose when Miss Lopez showed a picture of another man who resembled their daughter.
Growing up, I did not have a father, and I did not want my daughter growing up without a father.
Well,
It hurts me to know that she does not have him around. He says he's the father. He's even has her name tattooed on his arm. He was there a
You have
week.
her name
Yes, I
tattooed
do,
on
Your
your
Honor.
arm?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
Even though you doubted?
When she was first born, I was attached to her.
But there's no convincing Mr. Carbajal. He believes there might be another man involved because of the look-alike photo. However, Miss Lopez adamantly insists that Aliana is his daughter and emphasizes her desire for her child to have a father figure in her life. You should have been careful, ma'am.
They didn't look nothing like us. My mom and my dad were saying
Your daughter did look
that
like you.
they had nothing related to us.
All right, so these are the doubts as it relates to Aliana. Let me understand the doubts as it relates to Noah.
She didn't let me sign his birth certificate. I didn't even sign his birth certificate. Why wouldn't she let me? She's saying I'm the father. Why couldn't I sign a birth certificate?
Because you weren't there from the beginning.
If you can't get enough of this, just hold on. Their second child, Noah, was also under scrutiny. Mr. Carbajal questions why he wasn't allowed to sign Noah's birth certificate if he's the father. Miss Lopez claims he was absent from the beginning and wouldn't commit to being a father. How about the granny tags in with her 2 cents?
When he was first born, she didn't let me sign his birth certificate. I didn't even. Why couldn't I sign a birth certificate?
Because you weren't there from the beginning.
I was there.
I was there when they both were born.
Hold on, let's get some order. Miss Avila, they're saying they were at the hospital. You say they weren't?
I was there when Aliana was born.
The discussion moves towards a dubious at-home DNA test that Miss Lopez claims Mr. Carbajal performed. The home test raises questions due to the lack of proper identification, and Miss Lopez questions its legitimacy. Well, Mr. Carbajal, if that was indeed fake, you do have creative ways of avoiding responsibilities.
In the paperwork, do you have to include photo ID?
No, nothing like that.
No ID?
No.
So no ID to identify which
All we gotta do
kids,
is swabbing or just put the name of the father and
you,
the kids.
you write that name
Yeah.
in.
The names are wrong on there. My daughter's name is spelled wrong.
It was the
I
kids.
do not know if
it was the kids.
Despite the confusion around the home DNA test, Judge Lake decides to pull the curtain off with a new laboratory-conducted DNA test for more reliable results. Oh man, and this time around, it's gonna be all true. Let's see what happens.
Mr. Carbajal, you are not her father.
My mom wouldn't have spent so much money on those tests to
We
be
spend a
swabbing
lot of
other
money.
people.
We spend a
other
lot of
kids.
money to do those tests.
You guys should have still told us what you were
No,
going
you think we
to
were
do.
gonna tell you? Think you guys were gonna let us do it?
Okay, so now we know who's been lying here. And that's just sad. Come on, Miss Lopez, you could have been more truthful. Also, if this result wasn't positive, well then we have another child waiting in the line to find out his fate.
Mr. Carbajal, you are not Noah's father.
Thank you, Your Honor.
What do you gotta say? What do you gotta say for yourself? Huh? Why you been lying to me that they're my kids when they're not?
And you know my
Who you
mom
been
got really
sleeping with?
attached to them. You know how much that's gonna hurt my mom?
Yes, I do.
You might be planning to watch a movie this Sunday night, but there comes the paternity call that drags you to court. Oh boy, something similar happened with Mr. Bell, as Miss Cousin claims he's the father of her 7-month-old child. Yeah, drama, right? Facts check time. They're all fed up with Mr. Bell's lies.
I'm fed up with his lies because he a two-time liar. He told my daughter that he was single, that he was not in a relationship. I know he was in a relationship with her because I seen his picture on her phone. When she started being with him, I seen how her attitude changed. I knew then that she was pregnant.
Now, Mr. Bell is over there denying being the father of Taquan, and he's gone to the extreme by blocking all contact with Miss Cousin. Classic move, right? Oh, and he's also claiming that she's just trying to bust up his 6-year relationship. Trust issues much?
What was the nature of the relationship in your mind?
We met at work. I only seen her outside of work maybe twice. We was never together because I had to go home to her. I was staying with her and my kid.
Were you flirting with her at work?
Yeah. But
were you asking her what she's eating for lunch and buy you some too?
No.
Well, Miss Cousins and her mother weren't buying Mr. Bell's story. They say he's a 2-timing liar, and he had their daughter thinking he was in a relationship with her while he was actually in a relationship with someone else. Smooth, Mr. Bell. Real smooth.
They're claiming that this was going on. This was an ongoing relationship. That's not true?
No.
Yes, it is true, Your Honor.
Destiny, I see the tears in your eyes. What are you feeling right now?
Because he lied. He know he lied. Why would you lie on me for no reason?
Because he felt your weakness. That's what he felt.
Oh, and Miss Destiny, the daughter, well, she's backing up her mom. She met Mr. Bell at work, and he told her he wasn't with anyone. But she claims they had an ongoing relationship, and Mr. Bell had the nerve to let her buy him food and pay his phone bill. Talk about a free ride.
Why do you doubt?
When she got pregnant, I found out she was pregnant through a manager at the job. He called me in the office and told me she was pregnant. And I told him the same thing I'm telling her. It's not mine.
Why you lying?
Destiny, how did it go?
When I came home, I called him. I said, I'm pregnant. He said, oh, well, call me back. Let me know what you gonna do. And that was it, and he hung up the phone.
Fast forward, Miss Destiny gets pregnant, and Mr. Bell starts distancing himself, saying he's not the father. He even claims she told her manager at work that the baby isn't his. More lies or just a misunderstanding? You decide.
Mr. Bell, you said that she didn't tell you, she told the manager and the manager told you.
Yes, and once I went to her and told her that it's not mine, the first thing, I don't want no baby by you anyway.
I don't want a baby by you anyway is different from the baby is not yours. Which did she say?
Both.
Why you lying?
Mr. Bell, oh, he's not done with the lies. He says he only slept with Destiny once in a car, and Destiny's mom ain't buying it. She claims they've slept together 3 times unprotected. Ouch! And Mr. Bell's girlfriend, Miss King, oh, she chimes in with her side of the story, making things even messier.
I was pregnant with our second daughter. I guess you could say a mutual friend happened to recognize Cortez on her page, like for his pictures and stuff like that. And he asked if Cortez and I were still together. He gave me her name or whatever. I searched for her on Instagram. Of course I'm gonna search. I see Cortez is her profile picture, and I see her bio. She's like, oh, I love him. That's the one for me and stuff like that.
Well, Mr. Bell, you do have a lot going on in here. And the only sentence that we've heard from the plaintiff's mouth was, why have you been lying? So now it was time for the paternity police to catch whether you've been lying or not. Here are the DNA results.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Bell, you are the father.
Thank you, Lord Jesus. I'll take my child support papers in the mail.
You've been chirping off all day.
All day.
You could not let them get a sentence out without downplaying everything they said. Everything.